to why we. So Summer, why don't you do a quick introduction?
Yeah, thank you, Miriam. Hi, everyone. My name is Soma Okibe. I'm a second year Master of Law student at the University of Victoria here in Canada. And my area of research is focused on Indigenous law, Aboriginal rights, and governance. I know some of you have questions with how from Nigeria and how I'm doing Indigenous law, but that's a story for another day. I'm the founder of the Soma Okibe Foundation, which just started. And yeah, I'm also a Getting alumnus. So yes, I'm glad to be here. Thank you, Miriam, for hosting this.
No, it's a pleasure. You're such a superstar, and it's really a joy to have you with us. And so today, what we're going to be doing is very easy, very quick. I'm trying to see where the chat is. This is so Gen, what gen am I now? This is so millennial. I can't find the chat thing. Anyway, I'm sure it will pop up soon. Can you just write something in the chat so that it pops up for me? There it is. Okay, Toasting from Ibadan, Adewale from Abeokuta, BC from Abuja, Tommy from Nigeria, Wonu says hi. All right, fantastic. So we're just going to be looking real quick at some application documents that people have submitted in the past to kind of analyze them and see what the candidates should have done differently to, get a different outcome. But before we go there, I want to, Moses from Ghana, we do have quite a couple of Ghanaians who've been joining us. That's really amazing. But before we go there, I think it's important to ask a few questions, and I'm just going to rush through some of these slides real quick. And I think one of the things I want you guys to take with you as we're thinking about, applying to grad school and all of that is, what is your why? Now, this is very important because if you don't know why you're, trying to get into grad school, why you're trying to, enter this phase of your life, it's going to be difficult for you to convince somebody else to either give you admission or to give you a scholarship, right? If you don't know, how are they supposed to know? So I want you to add that at the back of your mind. Why exactly are you deciding to pursue this graduate degree? Now, for most of you, the most challenging part of this application process is the essays and your CV. And that's actually what we at Getting tend to focus on. We don't focus so much on like the standardized tests and things like that. If you need to prepare for a test, you prepare for a test. But the most difficult part really is writing that convincing story that makes people say, I want you over anyone, and everyone else. So what are those mistakes that people make when they're writing their essays? The first thing is that a lot of people rely on templates. And when we go into the review of the document, you understand why templates are not very good, because there is no way that you can use a template to tell a unique story that is yours. Right? It needs to be, your document needs to be so unique that the template is actually going to take away from your originality. Now, the other thing people do is they don't pay attention to detail. This is from the small things, the comma and the full stop here, your tenses, things like that. If you don't pay attention to the details in your application, where you're even asking for something, what's the guarantee that when you get in, you will pay attention to details to be able to succeed in school? People also take for granted the language that they use. They wanna, they wanna, they are, you're putting your apostrophe S when you can actually spell the full word out. You need to, this is not an informal thing, it's a formal thing, so you must use formal language. Another challenge most people face, and a pitfall that they fall into is using very broad statements. I want to change the world. I want to be an agent of change in my community. I want to be the one to bring the light of change into my, oh, please, all of that. It's just a lot of words. And we have one essay that is exactly like that we're going to review. It's just a lot of words, but you're saying nothing. So it's beautiful nothing. We don't want that. You have limited space in your essays. So every word needs to count. Also, essays filled with flattery and jargon. This is the best school, but you don't have a concrete reason why. Another mistake people make is repeating their CV in their essays. You don't want to do that. Your essay should augment what you already have in your CV, but it's not for you to, just rehash your CV. And the last thing is that people don't even show evidence of what they've actually done. I'm just really rushing through so I don't spend too much time today. Yesterday, we were here for over 2 hours, so I don't want us to spend that much time. So other things that I want to encourage you to start thinking about, and as we're going into the document review, you're going to see how these come into play. as you know, Getting has gotten over $4 million in scholarships with our students. So we know what we're talking about. Some of the things that I want you to think about is how you're presenting yourself. A lot of times, because this is such a life-changing opportunity, we go to the schools as if we're begging, when you're actually supposed to be bragging. You should be bragging, you should want them to want you, right? But instead, most of us are like, oh, please just give me this one opportunity in my life. Oh, this is all I need from you, and that's not the right approach. Another thing is people are inconsistent in how they submit that, in the way they tell their story. You can read a CV and you can read a personal statement and you think they're two different people. We had an example like that yesterday, and a recording of yesterday's session is actually going to be made available if you're subscribed to our email list. So these are things that the mistakes you shouldn't make. And one of the strategies we teach in our bootcamp is the one document strategy, because what that does is to show you how to ensure that every single thing that you're saying fits into one narrative. Now, and one of the strategies I teach as well in our bootcamp is called the CARD strategy, and C stands for contextualization. And I'm going to show you guys that, and Tom and I will do that in the essays. Basically, it means that a lot of times we make assumptions about our reader. You assume that the admissions committee knows your background. They understand what you mean when you say NYSC. They understand what you mean when you say, NSAS. They don't know. You have to explain what it is, right? So you need to learn to put your essays in the right context so that your reader can, understand what you are trying to say. So also, if you have a gap in your resume, sometimes people think that that's the end of it all, when actually that story about that gap might actually be what will open the door for you, because you have a unique experience that other people don't have. So today, again, as I mentioned, we do have a graduate school bootcamp that is going to be running from the first week in June. So if you're interested in, following this, doing this process with a cohort of people who are extremely committed, who are going to teach you how exactly you can, write an application that cannot be ignored, please make sure you join our bootcamp. So without further ado, let me stop sharing this, this screen. Let me go into the essays that we're reviewing today. And I can see some of you guys who were here yesterday and are here today, and I'm so proud of you, because that means you're really, really into it. So Summer, I'm going to hand the mic over to you. I know that you guys in the audience haven't read these essays, but we're going to do our best to, you should do your best to read on the screen. And while Summer will also kind of, give a summary of what's going on and what's wrong.
Thank you, Miriam.
You're welcome.
Okay, so when I okay, so this is a personal statement, and who is dear Dr. P? That's the first question.
No, we changed the
Yeah,
name.
I know. Like, I'm trying to. So now this is me trying to talk to people, like, so that they know that these are things you shouldn't even put in the first place. So who is there? Who are you? It's not a cover letter to start with. This is a personal statement. So it's a story. It's a reflection of, who you are. They need to meet you aside your CV. They need to know why they should select you. So why are you saying dear no, this is not a letter. This is a personal statement. Now, namaste. You don't need all the greetings. Like, just go straight and start telling them about you. They
Yeah,
want to meet you, right? So the whole dear Dr. P, it's not necessary. Namaste, any greetings, whether in Igbo or all those things are not necessary, please.
yeah,
With reference to the subject, this person is writing like the person is writing a letter. This is not a letter, guys. This is a statement. Like, it's your story, right? So you're not, it's not like you're applying for a job where you're, kind of directing it to somebody,
yeah,
right? So you need to make sure that you're telling a story and not, at the beginning, I was like, if I was a graduate admission committee, I'll be like, I think this person is applying for a different position, and we'll just toss it aside, right? So you have to make sure that this is not in any form like a letter. So with reference to the subject, no, I'm writing to, this person is actually writing a cover letter. That's what I
yeah,
think.
yeah.
So I feel like the first paragraph is a little bit,
Necessary.
yeah. You see, I know one thing, yeah. If you're writing a story, your first paragraph has to catch the mind of the reader, so that it would, give us the motivation to read down. So if I can't understand what you're saying at the beginning, I already lose interest, even if what you're writing might make sense. But if you're not engaging anybody, people lose interest.
Mhm.
So I'm writing to express my interest. No, that should even be the first thing you should talk about personally. I feel you should start with a story. So if you are going into, this person is going into, a person had a bachelor's degree in veterinary science and animal husbandry, right? So and you want to get your degree, your PhD degree in that line. So why? Why should, what is that thing behind your story? Why did you study this of all the courses? Why? So that's where the why comes in. So you need to tell us a story about the why. So
Mhm.
don't come out and be telling us, oh, I have a, they will see those things in your CV. You're repeating it. Like you should, like you said, the one document strategy, which I learned, is that you have to make sure that whatever you're saying, you're not repeating it. But when we look at your story and what's in your CV, we will be able, exactly, we'll be able to tell that, okay, there is something going on there. So I have a problem with the first paragraph. I would have loved this person to say something like, oh, growing up, I had I had dogs that kept on dying consistently, stuff like that. And you know, these people, it's not like in Nigeria, these people love dogs. So you have to, so you have to make sure that whatever you're saying, they could tell that, okay, there's this passion.
Yes.
And that you had, because of that, your passion, you even had to go and get a bachelor's degree, and now you want a PhD. But before you start talking about your PhD, they need to know the things that you have done,
Mhm.
right? Because PhD is not, it's not a joke. So you have to make sure that you've already given them reasons why they should select you. So at the beginning, I don't even talk about, oh, I have interest. I don't talk about that. I tell my story first. I get the reader comfortable, or so I tell
Absolutely.
people your SOP or your personal statement should do one of the following. It should get the reader very emotional, like, oh my God, did these things happen, or did this happen to this person, right? You should get the person happy. Oh my, like, there are some stories you tell and people are just laughing. So don't just come out and just say something boring. People will get bored. It's a story.
Yeah.
Don't get it I feel like people have this issue of trying to write their essays, and it's fine. They get scared about, "Ah, am I writing the right thing? Am I doing it well? Am I saying too much?" And people write as they talk. Like I'm
Mm.
talking now, this is not how I'm going to write. So you have to make sure that you kind of calm down. How are you going to convince these people to give you over 100,000 Canadian dollars or US? Like,
Mhm.
why? So your story has to be very convincing.
Mhm.
So I think that the first paragraph, there are a lot of um it's too it's too much. I don't understand. I get what the person is trying to say. I get what the person,
Yeah.
but no story. I don't even know why you even
There's
studied.
no personality. The person,
Yes.
it's not it's a statement, but it's not personal.
So I don't know why you even studied this course. Why?
Yeah.
Why? So that needs to change. Um, to shortly introduce myself. Okay, so that's not necessary.
Mm-hmm.
It's not necessary. My name is No. You already have an application document. Your name are already there. There's no need to come and repeat that. So
Mm-hmm.
those things should go. You graduated with, okay, that is nice, but there are better ways to say that. That's
Mm-hmm.
when you need to brag. You don't just throw things here and there, you brag. So
Yeah.
one of the things that I know that works is, I don't just come out and tell you that I had a first class. No, I'm not going to do that. I'm going to tell you that, oh, I was doing this in the class, or I was also the president of this group. Oh, outside the classroom, I did this and that, and I was still able to maintain.
It's
That way you're showing them that, oh,
fantastic.
you can act exactly, so you can multitask and at the same time still get good grades. They want that kind of person. Trust me, they don't want 100% nerd. I'm serious, because they're looking for
Mm-hmm.
people who would also engage in activities, right? So you need to know how to brag. Make sure that you're telling them, oh, and not just that you had this, you are also top 10, or try and use numbers. Numbers make, see, people can, as I'm reading and I'm just looking for numbers, something that will stick. So numbers play a very huge role that people don't know. So
Mm-hmm.
I like what she said, but she's not bragging. The person is
Yeah.
not bragging, right? So yeah, so
It's just such a statement
yeah.
without the personal, it's lots of, details, but about technical, interests, but it doesn't tell their personal story. And
Mhm.
and that's, I think, is the key, because anybody else could have these experiences, professional experiences, but nobody else has your personal experience. Like, if I read this essay and I'm leaving, I have nothing to live with, that stays with me. I have nothing to live with except that they're interested in the PhD in animal something. So that's one thing you don't want to happen. You don't want to just, not leave an impression um, on the reader. And what someone suggested is a perfect way to start. Start with a story, and that's what we always recommend. So people don't believe in that, but I think it works perfectly all the time. It doesn't have to be a sub story. It doesn't have to be anything sad. It just has to be something that would be able to convey your why very, very quickly. So thank you so much for that, Summer. So let's go into the next one. If you have questions, please put it in the chat, okay, so that we can answer them as we go along. So let's go into the second personal statement. So do you want to start, or should I go ahead? Anyone is fine.
Okay, let me just comment to the first paragraph, then you can go ahead.
Sure.
I feel like, first of all, please, nobody should do this. Please, like, this is more like what most people write as personal summary in their resumes. I call it, because I don't really, well, we'll get to that, but please, let's not do this. Start with a story. I'll just say something briefly. Remember, I said my area of research is focused on indigenous law, and in Nigeria it's not taught, so it's not like I had any background or anything. But how was I able to convince this graduate admission committee that I have interest, I have a passion for this area of research, even though I was not taught in Nigeria? I
Mm,
used the whole Biafra issue because that's where I'm from. So I had to use that. Oh, my uncles and my grandparents were affected during the war, right? So that gave them like, oh, this is something that's also happening. Oh my God, this
mhm,
girl must have been going through it. So it's now they get why I am actually coming to do that. So you have to use your story to, expatiate why. Why should they select you over every other person, right?
mhm.
So yeah, go ahead, Miriam.
Absolutely. And so this introduction is not catchy. And then it now starts to read like an academic paper. And that's another one thing you don't want to do. Cancer is the second leading cause of death globally, according to the World Health Organization, accounting for 10 million deaths in 2020. Several jobs, absolutely no. This sums up my decision to pursue a PhD. No. You see, the person should have actually started this essay from the third paragraph, which says, as a young child, I was always astonished every time a person took a medication and became well. Honestly, there's no way you guys haven't thought about that before, because even me, as a person that's not even interested in pharmacy, I'm always it's so fascinating to me, like, oh, I take paracetamol and my headache disappears. How does this work? So that's actually a fantastic statement that almost anyone can relate to. However, it's buried in the third paragraph. So when you are doing your introductory statements, try your best to make sure that it's a statement that someone else can understand and maybe relate with, and they can just smile. That's one of my strategies. I want an introduction that can make you smile and be like, oh, that's so interesting, right? If that was the first sentence, I think this essay is not actually bad. And I think this is a brilliant person, but I think it just needs some rearrangement. So if they started with this, as a young child, I was always astonished every time a person took a medication and became well. The curiosity about how drugs, molecules exert their distinct action influenced my decision to study pharmacy in college. And by the end of my third year, I was introduced to pharmacokinetics. And then they now go on to talk about their interest in drug delivery, peaking in the fifth year when they learned about advanced drug systems. But in fact, what I think they should have also done was they have a second experience here where they talk about where they were working, and then they saw the practical effects of cancer, and that spurred them to go on to do a further degree. That should have come in earlier as well. So this candidate has the information, and this is what I want to leave you guys with. This yesterday when we were talking, we talked about topic sentences. This candidate has information, but unfortunately has kind of scattered them in the wrong places, right? So when you're writing your essay, first of all, the way I encourage everyone to write in our bootcamp is to start by doing a free writing exercise. What does that mean? It means you just write as you speak. Even with my thesis, that's how I write my thesis. I just write as I'm thinking. It is after you now write as you're thinking, you now be like, okay, idea 1 and idea 14 that I've put here, they actually go together, and then you rearrange. So, but this didn't seem to go through that process. A topic sentence is a sentence that summarizes what that paragraph is about. So those sentences guide you to ensure that each paragraph is addressing only one particular issue. So you're not jumping from undergraduate to graduate, then after during your internship, then after your internship, and when you were an undergraduate, then after you graduated. It's confusing. So when you have an essay, one of the things you should be thinking about is this following a natural progression and timeline? when I'm telling my story, if I'm starting from the back, there must be a reason, right? There must be a reason, and I must be able to make it flow together. But usually I start to begin from the front, which basically it starts with, why was I interested in this area? I was interested in this area because of this. After, when that interest, came about, I built my competence like this. I've done this. This is the evidence. And then after that, I now talk about what I'm trying to achieve in the future, and then why your program and your school is going to help me to achieve it. That's a basic, structure that can help you guys. So if you notice, this person talked about, after my undergraduate degree, I worked in oncology. Then now goes on to talk about my undergraduate thesis. It doesn't add up. So this undergraduate thesis should have moved up to about here, when they're talking about their interest in drug delivery. And then you can now go and say, after I graduated, I now got, more interested in cancer research. So if you're getting something from this, I need you to know your chronological, you let your story be chronological. You understand? And if you want to deviate from that, it must be for very, very good reason. One of the things I like that this person did, again, this is not a bad essay at all, they just needed a little bit of work, was that they want to start a nanomedicine department back in their home university. And I think every time you're writing your essay, you need to have your big dream. Let your big dream be obvious, but let there be evidence that you can achieve the big dream. So don't just say you want to start a department in your home country, but you've never even done any single research on, in nanotechnology. No. But let it be that, look, with the little that I have, I was able to do this. But once I do your program, right, and I get this knowledge, I will be able to achieve X, Y, and Z. So, I don't know if you want to add anything.
Absolutely, you're very correct. I think that one of the problems with this essay is just organization. It was not organized well. So I feel like once you tell your story, the next thing is, okay, you went to university, yeah. So everything you want to say about your university, you make sure that you capture it well before you jump.
Yeah.
Because after that, you go to, oh, after I graduated, oh, I worked at this hospital, or I did this research for a professor. Those things, it's just like it's a stage. So they are following you. They don't know you, right? So it's what
Yeah.
you're telling them. So just make sure that whatever you're saying, you're also telling them in a story. Because see, I feel like this thing should not be that deep. It's just a story. Just tell them, oh, this is what I did, this is what I want to do. And then about the goals, I like what the person did. I usually tell people, what are your short and long term goals?
Mhm.
Sometimes these people want to know, are you someone that, oh, immediately they give you the money after you're done, you don't intend so they want to know what do you intend to do, what's your, where do you see yourself in the next 10 years or 5 years? So you just have to like capture that as well. So yes, I love that.
Yeah. And make sure those goals are not small.
Oh, please, trust me. This they like to deal with big goals. If you tell them, "Oh, I want to go back and please be realistic. I want to go back and save my country." How? Even don't say that. Like people say that, "Oh, I want to go back and help the education system." How would you do
Yeah.
that? So
Yeah.
you have to just state realistic goals, even though they're big. Yeah.
Absolutely. Thank you so much for that, Summer. So now this third personal statement, the statement of cool dude. I don't know why we keep doing this. My name is, so you don't need to do that. My name is not the way to start a personal statement. And I've been seeing this more often. It is absolutely not. In our bootcamp, I actually teach different ways of starting your essay. Me, I know the one I use that always works for me. You understand? Once you read any introduction, if you don't smile, somebody has upset you from the house maybe the day before. You must, it takes, the rest of the essay is not a problem. If I'm writing an essay, I can spend days trying to get that introduction right, because that's what hooks people in. Now think about the fact that the admissions committee is reading hundreds of essays. So if they're not able to pick you out as a candidate, the candidate that did this or said that, then you haven't done your job well. Okay. So now this is the essay that I would call a lot of beautiful words, but no concrete, not saying anything concrete. Somebody, do you want to go into it?
Yeah, you're very correct because I was just reading this like the person has I feel like the person has a story, but the person doesn't know how to convey that like like there's so many things that I've seen and I'm like, okay, this person actually knows what to say, but person is not just saying them well.
Yeah.
You're 25 well, I don't understand like Are you apply? I don't see these things are not necessary. They would see these things. That's why I say there are so many things that people need to, because some of them will ask you for 500 words. Like if you have 500 words and you're already wasting them with irrelevant things, then there's a problem, right? So you
Yeah.
need to make sure that you're just hitting the nail. What is the story behind? Why? I like stories though, because I feel like even if I'm bored and you tell me a story, I will get the gist, right? So
Mhm.
stories always, and these people are very busy, so you don't come and be telling them, oh, cancer is they don't understand. They know this, but that's
They
not what
do.
they want. They want to be very free, right? They want to meet someone less serious because at this point, that's not what they're looking for, right? Because they already know the whole deep things that they're looking for, but now they want to now meet you. I told, I don't know, but this would help going forward. I think people should go and see this TV show. I think it's Walk It on Netflix. Miriam, if you see this girl was applying for college and then she was writing, "Oh, I have a 4.0 CGPA. I'm 18. I'm this," and everyone was like, "Okay, but everybody said this.
Yeah.
Who are you? I want to meet you. What
Yeah.
about you? Why are you
Yeah.
different? Why should I sell?"
Yeah.
So, I I think I used to sing. The lady was like, "Well, I think everybody that went to this school sings. So what
Yeah.
is different about you?" She was like, "Oh, I dance." And the lady was like, "Then I think you should use that to tell a
Mm-hmm.
story as
Mm-hmm.
to why at some point, maybe when you were dancing, you broke a leg, and then that's what even triggered you to want to study medicine." That was how I was like, so these people are not looking for serious. They know yes, you have the grades, but they want to see something. So this person wrote fantastically well, but I feel like there are some disconnect here and there. So I feel the person needs to remove those. My name is cool, dude. I'm a graduate of this. There are places that you put that, which if you attend the bootcamp class, you would see that there are places that it will fit in. Right now, it does not fit in, right? So it doesn't. Yeah.
So people also feel like using just big words and just sounding fancy is the way to go. So I'm a 25-year-old visionary, creative, quick learner with ambition to obtain a position that is meaningful and challenging, adding positive values, striving for excellence at all times, most importantly, serving humanity in any way possible with my knowledge. Difficulties are opportunities to better things. I believe that stepping stones to greater experience will lead to success. Life, they say, does not present itself on a platter of gold, but chance and time is given to everyone. This basic principle has been
Yeah,
no.
this is debating now. This is
You get like you
a
get
debate. It's a debate.
get like that's not it. That is not it. This basic principle. That's how I read it to, has been my guiding principle and driving force all my life through my personal academic years, starting from primary to tertiary level. I have always loved to concentrate on energy and resources on taking and solving difficult tasks. Finding solutions to problems most of the time does not come easy, and it takes a long period of time than expected. My attitude of perseverance and patience has kept me building my wealth of experience thus far. Nothing has been said.
Mhm.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11 lines. Aspire to conquer the Maguire, the desire. That's exactly what this essay is. But it's done such a disservice, to who you are. I think a lot of times when we are thinking about these are essays, I think there's a part of us that doesn't just believe in ourselves or believe that our stories are worth telling. And I think that's something we all need to get out of. You might say, oh, my life has not been fancy. It's not true. We all have a unique experience. The question is being able to, get that experience out. You understand? And being able to say, okay, this is the experience that I'm going to use. In the bootcamp, we have a workbook that helps you write out different experiences. And you now say, okay, if I say this, this is the example I'm going to use. If I say this is the example I'm going to use, and then you cannot decide on what you're going to use. At the same time, you can't use all your life experiences in your essay. You need to choose and pick, you understand, the ones that you think are most effective, also depending on the opportunity that you're applying for. So honestly,
This person's statement is also, it's perfect for, this person talk this kind of, at least that first paragraph where it's like, oh, I'm this and that. If you do that for a job or interview, I'm sure if you apply for a job, there's this kind of job. If you apply for it, the person will probably get to the interview stage. But this
possibly,
is this is personal state. This is not cover letter. I feel like people don't. I feel like maybe when they attend the bootcamp class, they'll understand the essence of how to tell stories, how to write. Don't come and be writing like you're writing a letter.
no.
Don't talk as if you're talking to your colleague. No, you're talking to people that don't know you. They have not met you. It's
Yeah.
your document they're looking at. So if you're talking without connection or you're just, and see, the simpler the better. I've not I cannot remember using big words in my statements at
Ever.
all.
Yeah.
It has to be very clear, very concise. Like you would read them and be like,
Little.
okay, this is what this person means.
Yeah.
Plain English. Don't it's not all about, oh, I'm speaking big. No, they don't, they know those things, but they need these things to actually be very simple. So yeah, the
Yeah.
simpler the better.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. So, and then the person ends by saying, this program will be demanding, but willing to give you my best.
How?
I was just confused. I was just confused. So they do the same thing for the school. And let's talk about how you can talk about a school. Now, I'm going to give you guys a tip. I do a couple of things when I'm talking about a school. The first thing is I really, really sit down and research the school and get a feel. What is the school themselves proud of? How do you do this? I have tips, Shao. Some of the ways you guys would do this is you need to go to the social media of your school, go to the social media of the department, right? What are they talking about? What are the things that keep recurring? What are the things, who are the people that they keep celebrating? You need to know, right? What values do you think that they're highlighting? If you're applying to a school and you've not gone to check their social media, you are wasting your time. You need to check them out on all social media platforms to understand the culture of the school. And when you're writing, for instance, Oxford prides itself on raising the next generation of leaders. Like that's something that Harvard does that as well. So you need to, when you're saying why Harvard, you need to make it clear that you yourself, you are one of those. You are shoulder to shoulder with Obama. You are shoulder to shoulder with, you get what I'm saying? That's who you are. But if you don't know that that's how they pride themselves, you cannot sell that story. So don't just say Harvard has one of the best education in the world. So therefore, no. You can see that, you can see whether they call it the Harvard spirit of leadership and service is so and so and so, as has been embodied by alumni, is something that I possess and have so and so through these different experiences. They will know that you really understand why that school is your best choice. So it's not about giving the school a Perspire to Maguire, the Desire, whatever. Your reputation is great. Every school's reputation is great. So that's not enough reason. So don't, when you're saying why a school, I'm always, don't, you have to be specific. And that's why one essay cannot work for all the schools, because if you're using the same essay for all the schools, then you have not customized it enough for it to be impactful. Okay, great. Now let's go into these resumes. Yesterday we saw a couple of resumes that they didn't really have that more like profile statements, but now we're seeing profile statements that shouldn't be. So Summer, do you want to go into this?
Yeah, please, I will. Please, um,
We're begging.
please, your national, please just remove nationality. Like, hmm. Okay,
Yeah.
so I
And
know,
date of birth.
I know that we want to put everything there, but times are changing. I'm sure, like maybe 15 years ago, this was okay, right? It wasn't bad. Anything can go, but right now, it's not, it's an academic CV, right? So nobody wants to see your date of birth. Nobody wants to see, this is even nice. You see people that will tell you how many children they have, they'll tell you they are married. You'll be like, I don't understand. This is, they don't want to know anything about your family. They want to know
Yeah.
you, right? So date of birth, when you already fill an application and you've already attached your birth certificate, why are you putting that again? Right?
Mm-hmm.
So remove the date of birth, remove your nationality. Yes, I like that the person put the person's LinkedIn link, because
Very
the
good.
world is now digital. Like everybody, if you even send a professor an email, the professor would go straight to, check you out on LinkedIn, right? So it's always good to have your LinkedIn profile, so long as it is neat and tidy. So
Yeah.
yes, you can do that. Um, I have a problem with the address, and I would say why. The reason is you can just put Ija, Lagos State, or Lagos State, Nigeria,
Yeah.
personally. And I will say this because I feel like these are like sensitive informations that you've already put that in your application. When you're filling forms online, they will ask you this question. So I feel, why am I repeating this when you just, so I'm just Lagos State, Nigeria, because they're not even going to get the address from here to send you no, they won't do that. So personally, I feel like just leave it to Lagos State, Nigeria. Tell them, give them your email address. Please don't use she sexy at, no, please use your full name, right?
Yes, please.
So let them know that this is who they're interacting with, and then your phone number, then the LinkedIn profile link is okay. Yeah. So I think these are like my issues with the, yeah. And the personal profile statement is, it's too long to start with. Like
Yep.
I was like, am I coming to read under personal statements, right? So it's meant to be very short. And personally, I don't use it, but if you have to, that means it has to be very catchy.
I use it though. I use it.
No,
It's a powerful tool.
yeah, I know it is, but for grad school, personally, I did not use it. So I don't want to, I not use it though. But if I'm applying for jobs,
Yes.
that's when I would add it. And then what I would say would, so that you have a summary just in, okay, who is this person? So I
Mm.
feel like the person is, I don't even know, patient service, who are, if you want to even start, you have to start with your
My
name.
patience.
Like, say, like, say something catchy. Oh, maybe Summer is a commercial lawyer, just say something with 3 years experience, like something. Okay, now they've seen number three. Okay, so this person has 3 years experience. Oh, we need this person in our program. So you have to make sure that whatever you're saying is very short,
Mm-hmm.
at least max 3 lines, really. There's no need to go, this is too much. I can't read it, to be very honest. I'm not reading it. I just say, what's this? This is not a profile statement, because
Yeah.
you've lost me from the beginning. Patient service
Yeah.
oriented pharmacist, how? This is, the person is good, but no, make it short. So the person
Yeah.
can say, the person's name is Easy, so you can say Easy is a pharmacist with 3 years experience at,
Yes. In clinical pharmacology,
good, good.
patient medication therapy management. We're
Yeah,
all this one.
but
It's just
like,
so
do you get, so it has to, and
yeah.
trust me, even if it's one line or two, it doesn't matter. You've already, that's, it's just catchy. So you've already gotten the attention of whoever, okay, so this is who you are.
Yeah.
And let's now see what you've gotten.
And just to add to that, some I was saying during yesterday's session that if it's better for you not to put a profile. If after the person reads the profile that you put, they're not just gonna say wow. So if you're gonna put a profile, they must read it and be like, wow. If not, then no, don't put it. So this one is more or less making me yawn than making me say wow. You understand? So it's too long. The person is brilliant, I can tell, but it's patience, the foremost prerequisite for getting into this program. Why
Mhm.
is it your first word? Is patience. You understand what I'm saying? Is that the most important quality that they're looking for? So every word, I always say it, every word in your application needs to earn its place. It needs to earn its place. So all these words here, they have not paid their dues. You understand? So I would say that this kind of person should have started with an experience, pharmacist with 3 years experience in clinical pharmacology and patient medication therapy management in sub-Saharan, Africa, committed to X, Y, and Z, or demonstrated excellence in X, Y, and Z. Use it to highlight the things you want to receive 10 awards in pharmacy research, so and so, including the Clinton Foundation Cancer Research Award, something like that.
Yeah, I was
And
about to say that award is, adding an award is also very good. They'll be like, okay, so this is our candidate.
you're a
At least,
boss, yeah.
before we go in. Yeah, right.
Absolutely. And I explain, and what I just said, the sentences I just said, you might think they're very random, but they're actually doing a couple of strategies that we teach in the bootcamp, particularly the card strategy. So one of the things that you need to do, in fact, I shouldn't be telling you guys this, Sha, but one of the things that you need to do is to find a way to associate yourself with things that your audience recognizes. Now, if anybody says that, if I say that I went to Oxford, right? Even if my undergraduate was in anywhere in the bush, once they say that Oxford, I've been elevated somehow. So even if you haven't gone to Oxford physically, if you say that, and that's why you need to look for opportunities to build your profile. If you say that you've attended a particular event by this particular organization that is well known in your field, or if you say that you're a student member of a particular organization that is renowned in your field, they're going to take you seriously, especially if it's an organization that the person who is reviewing your application knows about. You know,
And yeah, you're very correct. And to add to that, Also, when I was applying for grad school, I did a short course on Coursera on indigenous education that was taught
That's
by professor at the University of Toronto. So I put that in my I put that in my personal statement, and it's also in my CV. So you would know that okay, this person is actually very interested in this. This
yeah,
person is
going
very
out of their way.
yeah. So it's also yeah, maybe I'm very correct.
Yeah, so please you don't say, oh, but I didn't go to this fancy school. There are courses online. There's Harvard courses. You can even specifically say who taught the course, especially if the person is well known in the field. One of the courses that I've taken is this by Professor X, from Harvard University, blah 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 blah, and that further piques my interest in so and so program. They'll be like, this person sabi, this person knows what's up. So again, I don't know why I've been seeing a lot of resumes that are like this. Your formatting is very important. Like, I don't even know the beginning or the end of this document, where it's starting, what is being said. Try and, use, if you're going to make the headings of the places you've worked in bold, let it be in bold. You're going to put your title in brackets, let all of them be in brackets. Let it be very clear, what is what. And also, we don't need to know your primary school, for goodness sake. This is not necessary at all. Like, this is so far gone. You did not get any skills in primary school apart from how to eat your eraser, and and play on the playground. So it's really, really not necessary. Then when we go into the experience, I think that sometimes, maybe this is something I haven't really talked about much. Sometimes you do the same thing in different places, but you don't have to repeat that thing in every single place that you have worked. I think if you can show that skill in one or two places, you don't have to say, oh, I discuss with patients, discuss with patients, discuss with patients, discuss with patients at every single turn. Also, the major issue with this CV is, let's keep counting. Please, I want you guys to be counting in the comments. This is page 1, 2, 3, 4. How many pages do you think we're going to? I want a guess. 4. Okay.
Someone said 9.
5, 6, 7. 7 pages. Come, you're correct. If I don't even have any other feedback, your resume should be 1 to 2 pages max. Exactly. Ades, it says most of the bullet points are like generic job descriptions rather than accomplishments. Soma, do you want to speak to that?
Yes, I want to do that because even the bullet points are not even
So
consistent.
let's not even go into that.
So I feel like there's God. Oh God. Okay. So let's
Yeah.
start with the first one. So there are so many there are so many issues with this. To start with, I don't even know what Vedic. I know it's a hospital, but what this is who is
Right.
Vedic like yeah, so you have to like kind of give a very short, just it might just be one line. Who this
Yeah.
what are they special? It could be what if it's an eye care hospital, right? You need to state that so that we know. So that anybody that, because I don't know who these people are. You could just bring a random name and we don't know anything about them, right? So I always say try and put like a description about what it is because these people you're sending your application to don't know them, right? Now, check prescriptions for errors. I feel like the person is just writing. You know, when you just have so many things that you've done in a hospital, the person is just writing, let me show these people that have done a lot. But no,
Yes.
you don't need to write so much. See, you can even pick like 4 or even 3 and build on it.
Yeah.
We don't most people don't even use action. I could even see like action verbs. Like I'm trying to look at okay, did you manage anything? Did
Yeah.
you like what did you do? Are you the pioneer of some like I can't see anything there, right? So I also think that the person was writing in you're currently working there and I could see that you're writing as if you're talking to somebody. You could
Yeah.
say stuff like I'm providing because that's what you're doing. Don't just
Yeah.
say provide. Like it's so it doesn't prepare. You're preparing. Like
Yes.
use action. I don't want to like I'm sure that when you sign up for the bootcamp class, you would get a list of you know words that you would use that are very catchy. So just make
Yeah.
sure you meet yourself to like 4 at least. I don't know, like the
Yeah.
person is written, oh, set up and supervise clinical trials, prepare and check the same prepare and quality check is almost the same thing as checking prescription for error. Like
Yeah.
you're repeating yourself even in the same position. So
Yeah.
just
Adeze says no measurable accomplishments. What you did, how you did is what you achieved. I
with
always say again, every word must earn its place. And you guys also need to bear in mind that it's your application documents that you're going to defend if you ever have to do like an interview. So when you're putting in things in your resume, every line you must say, okay, I'm writing this experience because I'm able to talk about it in this way. It shows me in a positive light. This is unique. This is an achievement. Regularly checking the prescriptions of clients to an ensured reduction of error, prescription error by 75%. That's
Mhm.
what we should be having here. Okay, not just these words that seem a
Yeah,
little
and the person said
from
keep up to date with the person said keep up to date with and contribute to research and development. How did you do that? What, so they need to see that. Don't see when you're writing anything, make sure that there's no why left unanswered. So they want to know why. So make sure you answer that. So make sure you do that because it doesn't make sense.
and what type of research and development. Like this person is very brilliant, there's no doubt, but this CV is not selling, and has great experience, but this
Mhm.
CV is not selling them in the best light.
Yeah,
Okay,
and Moses said it's a copy and paste kind of CV. So
I
maybe.
think so. I think so. You can see that they've done a lot. In fact, it's too much even. And also bear in mind that, see, guys, it's not everything you are that will go into your resume. If
Mhm.
people like Summer want to put everything that they are inside their resume, the resume will be like 100 pages old. So you can't do that. You need to select what you think is going to just serve you best. Okay, let's move past the book of life and go into another resume. We have you guys in the comments. I want you to read this and tell me what is wrong with with um with this introduction, or if there's anything wrong. I'm a hardworking and motivated legal practitioner and a startup business consultant with keen interest in studying, understanding, and navigating legal relationships in the business world. I have acquired extensive knowledge through my practical experience in business over the years, the study of law at bachelor's degree level, and over 6 years work experience across the public and private sectors in Nigeria. And I have provided business advisory services to small and medium size enterprises as well as large enterprises and national. My skill sets have been instrumental in establishing several business entities as well as help clients navigate the very often unpredictable Nigerian business terrain. I intend to acquire more knowledge and skills in business advisory at national and international law level in furtherance of my career goal of becoming a leading authority in international commercial law. So let's see what you guys are saying. First person pronoun, I agree. You have the I am, it should just be hardworking and motivated legal professional. I agree. Profile is too long, too wordy, too long-winded, too long, sound like a cover letter. That's a very rich profile summary. Shorter sentences would be better. Yes, you should have stuff to key priorities and skills. Could have been said in 3 lines. This is not a profile summary, it's a cover letter. This should go on the personal statements. I agree. You guys are superstars. This is too much for a summary and it's not hitting. I can see the potential, the magic sauce is actually somewhere around here.
Mhm.
That's the only magic sauce that I can see here. The other thing I'm going to mention is that in your profile, I'm sorry, I don't care if you're just 2 days out of school. That's not where you want to talk about, I hope to. Excuse you, that's not what so all you are in this life is you don't even have anything under your belt, you're just hoping for the future. That's not what should be your profile summary. Your profile summary should be, you I don't even know how to say it, like even if you don't have that much experience, still stand on the things that you have done. So this person should say, you know experience, instead of saying I hope to be a leading commercial authority in international commercial law, this person should say they're a commercial lawyer with 6 years experience advising small medium enterprises and large corporations on the complexities of navigating legal requirements of businesses in developing countries, proven expertise in or closed deals worth $3 billion in the oil and gas, infrastructure and technology sectors in Africa. Finish 4 lines. you know? So even if you are hoping for things, it's not here that you're meant to say that. Do you understand? Great. So Derek says your competency and key achievements should be mentioned in the profile summary. Absolutely. If you, as I said, if they're not going to leave that summary with a wow in their mouth, then you don't need to put it there. But this is not a bad resume as such, because I can see some things that they're doing well. So for instance, this person says, provided cover secretarial duties for 8. You can just choose one. You don't have that much space to be doing words and, you know, interpretation. It's a very legal thing that we do, but you don't need it in your essay. Provide secretarial duties for 8 private companies and 1 public company. That's very good, you know, that you are saying, giving us numbers in terms of what you're doing. But why is public company, private in capital, then company is in small, then public is in capital, and then this is a small in capital as well. As a lawyer specifically, you need to pay attention to detail. So the onus on you is even worse than the average person. So all those errors we shouldn't be saying. Somebody want to go in?
Yeah, I still think this person is also saying perform, advice.
Mm.
This is something you're currently doing. So performing, it's the right word than just perform, because I'll be confused. So what are you like? You have to say your performance. I know that that's what you're currently doing, advising, not just advising clients.
Provide, yeah, providing,
If it's a job that you're done with, you say provided. That's past tense. Oh, that's what you did in the past, right? So that people flow. So we have to be very careful with how we write these things. So yeah, drafting,
absolutely. I don't
drafting.
think this it's not a bad resume, but again, we don't see the person started with the numbers and then stopped. So conducted due diligence for the acquisition of a company. What kind of company? You get what I'm saying? What kind of company? How much was the deal? Did you collaborate with other people to conduct this due diligence? Organize, prepare board packs, and take minutes of meetings. You could have
And the person repeated it again. Like, look, the next one.
minutes of meetings. You get what I'm saying? Like, I know that what I mean by it's not a bad resume is that the person has some experience that can be used, but it's not just being presented well. So make sure you don't have repetition. Make sure you're not just trying to fill the space with words. It's better to have all these 15 bullet points can actually be summarized under like 5 max. You
Yeah.
understand? So if you have more than 5 bullet points under each job description, just know that you've probably started saying what you shouldn't be saying. This is also not a sentence. Filing court process.
Workup
You know,
process.
this is not a sentence at all. You know, drafted legal briefs, motions, and pleadings, conducted extensive research of various legal issues. Like what? Now
Words.
use
What?
the
That's the thing.
opportunity. Yeah, use the opportunity in your resume to connect with what they're trying to do. So if it is commercial law that you're going for, conducted extensive research on various commercial law issues like X and Z within the practice areas of the firm. All these are so better. You shouldn't put this at all than to write this as actual sentences.
Mhm.
You know, and then just even in terms of formatting and how things look, your academic qualifications, if this is an academic CV, should be first rather than putting it, you know, somewhere in the corner where it's likely to be missed. Leadership and volunteering position. If you don't have that much leadership and volunteering position, or if you don't want to create a separate header, you can just put it under where you actually had that experience. So if it was in school, you don't have to have a separate leadership and volunteering position as a header. You can just put some of these things under your education so that it's clear that you were doing something else while you were in school. Okay? Professional membership, that's great. So let's look at this final resume and then we can take questions from the audience.
Date of birth out, please.
Yes.
Remove the sex, remove religion. Like I don't even know your, like, we don't even know your name to start
Yeah.
with. We don't even know where you stay, where you're applying from. You
Yeah.
know, just put your name. That should be like the first thing,
And I
right?
just want to add to that, like this might seem like a small thing for you guys, but if you have your date of birth in bold here, sex in bold here, religion too should be in bold, and tab as well. Although
Mm.
we know we don't want any of these, but you need a lot of people are. I read too many documents. People are not consistent in how they write documents. Consistency is key. You get consistency is key. And this makes a very good point. People don't add tools, technical skills in in general. I hear you, depending on the kind of resume and what you're applying for. If
Mhm.
it's something that is very technical, especially like the tech field, you might need to be able to put the tools that you actually use. That's a very good point. But if it's more, softer social sciences, that may not be so, necessary. It's all very context specific. Okay, carry on, Soma.
So obviously this should go. Put your name, put your email address, your house, like your address. I like always say Lagos State, Nigeria. It's better. Then you put your email address, your phone number, and then if you want to add your LinkedIn profile, please. So if your LinkedIn is where you used to go and drag celebrities, just don't put
Oh,
it.
it
Don't,
is.
don't put it
That's
because
funny.
they look you up. Trust me.
They
So
really
make
do.
sure that you put something that is tidy. Yes. So that's what I have to say about the introduction.
This personal profile, what do you guys think about it?
Okay, that's
I don't even know why it exists. This is not a personal profile.
oh,
Also, just avoid generic things. Highly resourceful. Everybody is highly resourceful. Highly hardworking. We're all highly hardworking.
and
So
everyone will say they have communication and writing skills. But
yeah,
I got it from your CV. I did not see anything, so they're just very unnecessary. Yes, Monu got that. Very unnecessary.
yeah. And this is the resume.
The
This
only
is
thing I like that the person did, the only thing is the interest. So I always tell I realize that now it's better you write if you're applying for grad school and you're, for instance, if you're applying to Canada and you're coming for your master's and it's a research-based program, they want to see your, you know, research interest. So that's where you now come and now say, oh, I have interest in indigenous law, or I have interest in,
yeah.
gay rights. That's where you can come and put it. Just few lines, or just don't put too many, because how can you do all of them, right? So
Exactly. And don't
that's
let your
only.
interest be not
Mhm.
south, east, and west. They should
Yeah,
correlate.
I'm interested in tech. I'm interested in harbor, only you. So you have to make sure that you're selecting what you want, like something very small, and then it kind of give them an idea of, okay, this is the kind of things that we expect to see, right? So yeah, that's the only thing that person did that I like.
Yeah, and I think it's really nice to have these review sessions because we can actually see practical documents, and maybe we should do another event of how documents that got in. I don't know whether we have to find people who want to volunteer their documents for review, but that would be a fun thing to have. Is that something you guys would like to see? Winning essays, like an example of winning essays. Maybe it's something we can organize as well. um, so if you know anyone that will be interested in sharing, kind of reach out to us and let us know. We have to try and find people because people like to hide their things under their armpits, They don't wanna they don't wanna
Yeah,
share that.
well, at the beginning you said avoid templates, and so that's why most of them, because you
That's
find
true.
out that people will copy her. There's
That's
this guy that
that's
brought
the
out his
problem.
own essay and even his
That's
whole,
the
and
problem.
people copied it verbatim and went like
That's
it.
the problem. Yeah, that's why I never do those things. But we'll see if there's a way we can. At least we know that you can't copy and paste from here, but people can take screenshots.
Hi.
So I have to think about it and see if my team can think about a way to do
Mhm.
something like that. I don't know. We'll see. But I hope this has been helpful for you. If it was, I want you to type in the comment section how you feel and how you've been, what you've gained from this and all of that. Can you just write so that we can see whether you've gained anything from this session? Someone says, is the research experience segment compulsory? What does that mean? Can you explain more detail what you're trying to ask? So this session is not on tips for scholarships. This session is on reviewing of past essays. We do have lots and lots of tips for scholarships. And if you sign up to our mailing list, we send a lot of resources and scholarships all the time. So in case you don't know, we're getting education consulting. Our work is to help you level up using education, not using crime, not using fraud, not using Yahoo Yahoo, not using runs. Our job is to help you use your brain to go to the next level in life, and you can do it. I always say that I'm living my dream. I'm not even yet there. I'm living my dream, and all of this has been through the value of just hard work and my brain. So if I can do it, you can also do it, right? If you want to go on this journey, with people who sabi road, who know what they're doing. If you want to be like Summer, in the next 1 year, and you're here saying, let me tell you guys how I did it. If you want to go on the journey with us, we have a boot camp that runs, every year, and that's where we train and teach people all the strategies that will help them get into schools and get scholarships, teach you strategies that will make sure that your essays are not rejected. And one of the things that I love so much about the bootcamp is the fact that it's the gift that keeps giving. Once you can learn the skills that we teach on how to search for opportunities and how to write, it's something that you carry with you for the rest of your life and you will continue to use. So I encourage you guys, if you're thinking about it, there's going to be a discount code that's going to be valid for just 24 hours. If you're thinking about joining, this is the time to sign up. It starts in June, but we get pretty full real quickly. So we try to make sure that we, get everybody in, and then we just, get into it. So if someone says, do we review scholarship applications? We don't. Why? Because we believe that you should be, by the time you're done through the boot camp, you and your colleagues would be able to even do the kinds of reviews and detailed reviews that we really pay attention to. So you have the skills to know what is good and what is not. As a Ghanaian, of course, you can pay. You can pay using the USD link. Look at the links in the bio and you can pay. If you need any help, just reach out to info@getting.com.ng. The bootcamp is not far. Don't worry, it's almost here. This is May. We're starting in a few weeks. It says that we're going to be reviewing. Okay, now let's go to the documents. Okay, let me stop sharing screen. As I mentioned, this is all of us, okay, that are reviewing these documents together. So if you want to make the best of this session, don't be passive. I need you to chat. I need you to say, look, this is what's wrong. This is what is right, okay? So let me just share my screen with you. I have like 500 tabs open. Perfect. So we're going to have to read along, all right? So I'm going to give you guys time. We're going to read along. Crystal, I can read one paragraph. You can read the next paragraph, and then we can just, discuss and go back and forth. So I'm happy to start with the first paragraph. So this is the question. The question says, what skills and life experiences make you a good candidate for a scholarship? One of the things we teach in the bootcamp is how to decode a question. So can someone tell me how many questions are in this question? How many questions are in this question? I'm looking at the chat. How many questions are in this one question? Or is it just one question? What skills and life experiences make you a good candidate for a scholarship? So if you say 2, if you say 3, tell me what your questions are. I can see 3. 3 seems to be winning. I saw 4. So what are the questions? Or what are the issues that you need to tackle in this question? Okay, Ara says skills and life experiences. So they're asking you for your skills, 1. Anolika says skills. They're asking you for life experiences, good. And then the third question is, why are you a good candidate? And then the person who says 4 says the scholarship. I actually would say that there are 4 key elements in this question. 4 key elements. Skills, you need to address that. If I were you, I would be thinking, how do I structure this essay to deal with skills, to deal with life experiences, to sell myself as a good candidate, and not just a good candidate. A good candidate for what? For this particular scholarship. Not just any scholarship, but this particular one. So I hope even just decoding the question has made you guys see some of the mistakes that you have made. You just see a question and you just write, you just answer. The first thing is to decode the question. Skills, life experiences, my candidacy. How am I a good candidate? How am I better than the other people? And why am I a good candidate for this particular scholarship? Okay, so let's read this essay together. Sorry, this session used to take time more. Is anybody complaining? Please tell me if you're complaining in the comments, because I'm not in a hurry. Are you good? Should we continue, or maybe I should make it short? Crystal, maybe we should make it short, Abby. I don't know, maybe that's what they prefer. Okay. Oh, okay. We should continue. We should continue, but you do not invite your friends, innit? Send the links. Send the link to your friends to join so that only you will not benefit. Don't you want to level up with your friends? That's the best way to do it. So let's start. I have good communication, networking, problem solving, and branding skills. During my undergraduate days, I had the opportunity to join the law clinic after a rigorous application and selection process. The law clinic, a university-based legal aid that educates university community members on legal issues affecting society and provides free legal services to the public. One of the projects I participated in was the Divine Project. This project aimed to sensitize the youth, educate them about their rights and the appropriate steps to take in seeking redress when their rights are breached. A major challenge we envisaged while planning this project was communicating effectively with community members, as the majority were not English speakers. This almost defeated the project's purpose, which was built on effective communication between us and the target audience, the community. Now, there's a lot of things that are wrong with this introduction. The first is that this introduction is not captivating. I also don't really understand what is going on. And that is why, because of the issue of lack of contextualization. Now I'm going to explain. But before I even go into that, I don't even want to spend more time on things like punctuation mark. You cannot send these documents to a school. Folks, if you know that your English is not strong, you need to get a friend, you understand what I'm saying, to help you review. Even me, that I know that my English and my writing, I'm a bado. I send my work to people to read. If you think you don't need to do that, you are either very proud, you understand, and falsely so. You need to send your work to people to read. And that's why in the bootcamp, we have an accountability group where you have people that you can, you have a partner and you can say, look, okay, read my document, let me read your own. Right? It's important. These errors, you can't be starting a sentence with lowercase. Like, this is already a person that, for me, there's no admission, no, I can't give you, no talk about scholarship. Do you get? So I'm not going to waste time talking about those. Now let's talk about what is the problem with this thing, with this introduction. This person is writing as if the reader, Mr. Steven from Missouri, understands their own life in Abuja. What do I mean by that? You've said the law clinic. I appreciate the fact that this person explained what the law clinic is. It says a university-based legal aid center that educates university community members on legal issues affecting society and provides free legal services to the public. This is very vague. Why not be more specific? That educates, community members on human rights issues. You get what I'm trying to say? What exactly do you mean by legal issues? That's so vague. I don't understand it. One of the projects was the Divine Project. What is the Divine Project? So the project aimed at sensitize the youth, educate them about their rights. Does that mean human rights and the appropriate steps to take in seeking redress when their human rights are breached? Why was there even a need to mention the Divine Project first? You first of all start with the project. You say, I was part of a project that was designed. In fact, what was even the problem? Before you talk about why the project was even designed, you understand what I'm saying? You say that you observed, in the legal clinic, you observed that a lot of people in the university community were not aware of some of their fundamental rights, like X and Y. And as a result of that, you created the Divine Project to solve the problem. And you explain what the problem is. That way, the person who is reading, Mr. Steven from Missouri, understands why communication was important. Because how do you engage someone about their rights or let them know about their rights without being able to communicate with them? Now, this person goes on to say, a major challenge we envisage. Who is we? Is it the law clinic? Be very careful with what's like we, what's like our. Who is our? You understand what I'm saying? Is Mr. Steven from Missouri part of the we? You need to speak to be very clear about who you're talking about. The major challenge we envisaged our plan was communicating effectively with community members, as majority were not English native English speakers. This almost defeated the project's purpose, which was built on effective communication between us and our target audience community. I understand what this person is saying, but there's a possibility, huge possibility, that somebody who doesn't have your context, and that's why I said contextualization is key. Someone who doesn't have your context, someone who doesn't know your environment will not be able to understand what you're trying to get at. Okay? Crystal, do you want to take the second paragraph?
Yeah, sure. It says, to resolve this, I came up with the idea of getting members from the Faculty of Law who could speak the local dialect to join us on the team. In addition, I suggested a friendly football match between the youths in the community and members of the law clinic. I also advised we stage a play at the market square where all traders and marketers could watch and learn from our drama. So, okay, so this sentence that I've just read now, right, has a lot going on. And if I was someone reviewing this essay, right, I guess my first question would be, okay, you organize a football match, we're supposed to help the community, but who are the marketers here that you have in mind? When you say, because so far you've talked about the fact that what you're doing is trying to sensitize the local community. On some rights, you've not really more or less put in-depth explanation on, but where the marketers now come into this now, I'm a bit confused. It's like, you're not letting me go through your thought process in a logical manner where it makes sense to me, who has very limited information about you.
Yes.
That's my comment on this now, but let me just read forward. It says, these activities helped us build a relationship grounded in trust with the community. It was easy to educate them about their fundamental human rights and the steps to take when their rights are breached with this established relationship. We explained their rights and obligations as citizens to them in a straightforward form to ensure they understood the message. At the end of the project, our audience could explain in their own words their rights and were more confident in their ability to relate with security forces when they needed help. Okay, so I guess here from reading this, that what this person is trying to explain to us is how, they sort of established some form of communication with these people who don't speak the local language. But again, as Mariam said before, it's not quite clear which of the rights you mentioned here that you're trying to educate about their fundamental rights and steps they can take. But you've not said what the play or the drama, what they were supposed to learn from this drama. You only said that you made a play where they were supposed to learn. So I'm assuming here that would mean that the drama was more or less, maybe it has things to do with scenarios of what to do if you're in certain situations or something like that. But it's not quite clear. So I sort of get the picture of what this writer is trying to say. But they're not saying it in a way whereby if I don't have this knowledge of how maybe fundamental rights issues are very unique to our own country, I feel like I will be struggling to understand. Like, again, I feel like when you're writing essays, what you should also understand is your audience. Who is reading it? Do they have the same experience that you have? Yes. If you're talking to somebody in England doesn't understand why you need to go and form a play in a village to people and talk to them about human, you need to be able to explain to them that, where these people live, that they have like, this is like their reality, try to explain a cause for why you're doing what you're doing and why this on its own has a bearing to this scholarship and why it makes you a good candidate. And I get that you're trying to say that, you've done a lot of things that benefit people other than you, which is great, but always put the idea of who's reading your essay in mind, because it will sort of help to make sure that they get the message you're trying to pass across,
Absolutely. And I think, you've really hit the nail on the head. Think about your audience. And that's the key with contextualization. You're trying to create the context for them to understand what you're trying to say. When in this last sentence, you say, I don't pray that our audience could explain in their own words their rights and we're more confident in their ability to relate with the security forces where they needed help. I want you guys to understand that sentence is an absurdity everywhere in the world, except maybe a place like Nigeria. Why? Because you don't need, maybe not like that. You do need to know your rights everywhere, quite frankly. But what I'm saying is that it is not normal for the security forces who are meant to protect you to be your enemy. It's strange. So if somebody, it is just because, or is that how it's meant to be? They're meant to protect you. You understand what I'm saying? In fact, they're the ones who should tell you that these are the rights that you have. But because we understand that within certain communities and certain countries, Nigeria being an example, sometimes the security forces are even more dangerous, and they trample upon your rights. So that's what this person is saying. But because I understand the context of Nigeria, I can understand it. But when you send this to, again, Mr. Steven in Missouri, Mr. Stephen cannot understand why you need confidence and knowledge of your rights to engage with the security forces in this way. Does that make sense to you guys? Do you understand what I mean by contextualization? So when you are writing your essays, don't make assumptions. Everybody is not living in your reality. The essay reader is not living in your reality. And this person made that mistake of making so many assumptions about that. And on the other side, the person reading it is also having to make assumptions to try and understand. The kind of essay that you aim to write is the one where after the person reads it, they have no questions. And sometimes those essays are simple. Sometimes those essays are more compressed. You don't have to talk about so many things. If I were this person, I may not talk about both the drama and the football match. I may not talk about both. I may instead say, it was necessary to that. And in fact, you're not yet even selling your skills yet. You should highlight that what you're trying to sell is problem solving, creative problem solving, or community impacting a community. And I would personally mention those things, right? So you said, for instance, like I demonstrated my ability to creatively solve problems by, coming up with a drama in the local language that emphasized, that painted scenarios on how the right to life, the right to this, the right to whatever could be protected. Do you guys get my point? I need to see comments. This comment section is dry. Do you understand my point about, and I want you to, if you can now see a mistake or two that you've made in the past, I want you to acknowledge that. Think about the essays that you've written in the past, how you are talking as if your reviewer is from Lagos, Nigeria. It's not the same. Sometimes it is even in innocuous things. You say, when I wrote my WAEC, who is WAEC? Is that a person? What is it? Is she from Abuja? They don't know.
I read one essay that had NYSC. I had to call to ask the person, please, why do you assume that your reader knows what the NYSC scheme is?
They don't know.
These are like little nuances that need to be really very clear. Always when you have the idea of who is reading your essay in mind.
Yes, absolutely. So take that with you, okay? Take that with you. I was also a person of the prison pretrial team at the law clinic. We educate. I like this person because they are trying to explain. And I think that's the solution to lack of contextualization. So it says we educate indigent members, but you need to, when you are using words, pronouns, be very careful with them when you are writing. We, who is we? You can say in the law clinic, law students, or through the law clinic, law students educate. That's much clearer than we educate. All right, who is we? We don't know. It might seem like you are being verbose, but a lot of times when I'm reviewing essays, what I'm trying to do is just make assumptions clearer. We educate indigent members of society on their rights and represent inmates charged with minor offenses. At the end of the project with my team, we're able to secure the release of about 40 inmates. This is like my favorite sentence in this entire thing, because you've shown what you did and you showed it with what? Evidence. 40 inmates, those numbers are key. We were able to read, but the person now spotted. Sorry, person, if you're here on the call. We were able to help reunite them with their family, and this brought me so much joy. I said, oh my God, which one concern anybody with joy? What's any business with your joy? What's the question? The question is not, tell us about the time when you had so much joy. It is about what skills and life experiences make you a good candidate for a scholarship. You wasted space. You didn't, it's not that this brought you joy. We're able to reunite them with their families, which, which was I would say something like, a great testament to the efforts, of whatever that we put in to be able to achieve these results. You sell a particular skill there. It's not about it bringing you joy. So now the person is doing it in the next sentence. Exactly, which help achieve our goals, for this project. Even that one has not yet sold your skill. You must sell a particular skill. You understand? That you were able to achieve. So this project required me to network, and I like that. That's what's happening here. This project required me to network with different people like the police, lawyers, prison officials, amongst others, in order to help inmates effectively or help secure the release of the inmates. Communicating and planning successful prison visits where some inmates were interviewed and attending trials in courts where their matters were heard boosts, English issues, my verbal communication and interpersonal skills. You're not talking about when you grew. You're not supposed to be talking about when you grew. You're supposed to be talking about the skills that you have. You should instead say, I demonstrated my communicating and planning skills by coordinating X, Y, and Z. You are telling them that you already have those skills. All of this experience shaped me into a well-rounded student academically and socially. The matter has moved from demonstrating networking to well-rounded student academically and socially. So because this person has actually achieved a lot, and I can imagine if I massage this essay, how it will come out, but they just don't know how to translate it in a way that it makes them seem like a strong candidate. So these experiences make me a good candidate for the scholarship. Which scholarship, right? I'm sure they wrote this in their essay. As I'll be bringing my communication, networking, problem-solving skills to the university community. If this scholarship is not for communicators, you have made a mistake. If this scholarship is not a scholarship for communication, this essay has not answered the question. And I'm 100% sure there's no scholarship like that. It's probably like an academic merit or, like a merit scholarship or a social action type of scholarship. So while the law clinic was offering pro bono services, members of the public did not know the activities of the law. That was confusing because the Faculty of Law had no online presence to showcase its activities. I joined the communications team. We embarked on the project of rebranding the faculty so that members of the public could be informed about the activities. I was able to improve my communication and branding skills. Are you talking about where you improved or what you have? This is maybe the person trying to sound a little bit humble. I don't know. We're able to start a page on Facebook and Instagram. We created a timetable for our daily posts, informed the public. The project attracted people to the law clinic and made getting financial support easier. The University of Abuja Law Clinic still uses the social media platforms. I intend to join the National Trend Student Community to share all I have learned on gaining visibility. Is that what you have to offer? Because this person is actually applying for a master's in international financial law. How does communication, you understand? How does the fact that you're able to facilitate communication, how does that advance this particular degree? This is where just 1 second, the one document strategy is not working here. This seems like two different candidates. Crystal.
Yeah, I just had overall comments. I think the first one is that sometimes we tend to mix questions up because I feel like ultimately you need to really understand what a question is asking to know how to answer it, right? So I think sometimes we confuse this sort of questions where you need to brag with questions where they ask you things like, tell me about the time you overcame adversity, or, show us the time when you improved. Because I say things like I was able to, or I learned. And these are not words you want to be using, for this sort of question. This question really wants to brag. Show me that you have what it takes for me to give you money, because you're asking me to pay for you to come to go to school for free. So really, you want to show. I want to see from the essay that this person has they qualify for it. I think that's the first. And the second thing is that when I read the overall essay, it goes back to the point I think we made from the very beginning of this, that you want to stand out. And this person has done lots of really amazing things. When I read what there is, I'm like, wow, like this person, they've made impact. But you also want to have a structure around how you go about your essay so that it is like a story. And again, it goes back to structure. Sometimes what can help you is before you start to write, have an idea of how you want to structure it. So you can say, okay, this is exactly an outline, or a structure, whatever you want to just have that in mind. And then try to form a story around it. You can start with maybe a quote or whatever. I'm not saying you should be too poetic, but, just try to, make it easily readable.
Yes.
Because if you're applying for funding, it means a lot of people are applying for that same funding. And at some point, it's really, and sometimes I hear these guys talk about more like so many applications to go through, right? And sometimes it doesn't mean you're not saying something good. It just means that maybe you're saying it in a very bland manner that the person forgets almost immediately after they're done reviewing your application. So two things that I want you to get from this is, first, make sure that you have a structure around how you want to go about the essay and a story behind it. And secondly, don't be afraid to brag. This is the kind of question that really asks you to brag. So really make sure you really understand the question. Spend some time really asking yourself, what does this question want from me? What should my answer look like?
Absolutely. Thank you so much for that. And because we're all about it's not about just talking, oh, look at this, look at that. We're giving you practical things that you can actually do. Have you guys heard of topic sentences? Topic sentences. What that means is that when you have a paragraph, please, my good people, each paragraph should have, actually, it's like a mini topic. It should have a reason for existing. It should have one sentence that almost kind of summarizes what the paragraph is about. Then the rest of the paragraph supports that sentence. That way, you'll be able to catch yourself when you are exactly. Sarah says topic sentence is a sentence that summarizes a paragraph. You'll be able to catch yourself when you have started talking, saying what should not be in a paragraph in a paragraph. So if this paragraph, you want to talk about your skills, you will start by saying, over the years, I have demonstrated, excellent communication and legal skills, which have been useful for X, Y, and Z. You will now explain that while in the law clinic, I leveraged on this skill to conduct an outreach to a rural community of 5,000 people where they did not have access to the constitution of the country. What we did, or what I did, obviously I'm speaking colloquially, I would polish it if I was writing. But basically, what you cannot say that, we translated the constitution into the indigenous language and distributed it to the local community, particularly through the market and in the village square, right? And so on and so forth. But you need to know that sentence is talking about what? My communication skills. Then you now talk about, okay, this next paragraph, I want to talk about evidence of so and so, right? But don't just mix everything up. Even when I'm writing, the way I structure my writing is I first write those sentences. Okay, I want to say this, I want to say this, I want to say this, I want to say this. And then I now start building under each of them. Okay? Yes, you can use transitional words like however, in addition, why not? But bear in mind that you have limited space, so you don't want to use all your space for transitional words like thereafter, insofar as much as you want to make those a little short. Someone says, what's the difference between personal statement and statement of purpose? Personally, some people try to say there's a particular difference. I personally think they're fairly the same. I think people just refer to them in different ways. I also think it's not even important what they call it. What is important is the question and how you decode the question. Like they should call it statement of no purpose, statement of purpose. It doesn't matter. What matters is the question. So if you're benefiting from this session and you know somebody who wants to go to grad school and you've not invited them, it's not right. The angels are watching you. Please send an invitation to them. Let them join us and benefit. I've never seen.
I think Sarah had a question around.
I've never seen it
asking
for that. Even
Sarah,
if they
I think Miriam already answered it. I think you said it depends on the question. So
yeah,
ideally they would ask you a specific question. So really just make sure that you're answering what that question is. More importantly, like what is that question asking from you? I feel like once you really understand it and have a structure, it's easier to, I feel like, understanding the question and really building a structure around how you want to answer it. It's half of the work. You've done that, because otherwise you can veer off, so at least that way you have structure and you know that you're really answering the question properly.
Sarah, what you need to do is to go into that application and look at what they are actually, there must always be a question, a prompt. That's what matters. It doesn't matter what they call it. Personal statement and statement of purpose. I've never seen that before, like that. No, you go back to the website and check, and trust me, I've seen a lot of things. So the question says, what's the benefit of studying at NTU? Benefits. Okay, so how many questions are here in this one? What are the benefits of studying at NTU, or how many issues are here to be tackled? I'm waiting in the comments. How many issues are there to be tackled? What's the benefits of studying at NTU? 2. Okay. What are they? 2. Okay. What are the benefits of studying at NTU? NTU and benefits, yes. And how what are the benefits of studying? Yes. So basically, benefits and why NTU. You understand what I'm saying? Why? What are you going to gain? These are the questions. Though. What are you going to gain? And what are you going to gain specifically from NTU? So what are you going to gain from that degree? What are you going to gain from studying? What are you going to gain specifically from Nottingham Trent University? So my goal is to help companies adopt the best business models. Immediately I read it, I was just like, wait, what? This cannot be the same person who was talking about legal aid. It can't be, because legal aid and business, they're like
Wait,
virtually.
is the same essay?
Yeah,
The same person?
yeah.
Oh, I thought you just compare. Oh, got it.
This is still the same essay. Yeah, because I intend to join the Nottingham Trent students community. And then the next thing is, what's the benefit of studying at NTU? And then you're talking about business after just talking about legal aid and helping communities. Could it work? It cannot work. So this is why the person has not yet even figured out their why. And if they cannot convince themselves, they cannot convince an admissions committee. So this is a mistake you guys should not make, right? Make sure that your story is one. So if what I expect to see was, oh, I want to do something relating to maybe, I don't know, more legal aid, blah, blah, blah. And it's so confusing because you see best business models, educating startups, then you now say you want to establish an institute of legal awareness called the Fixed Company Initiative. Okay, it's correlating. That will be structured as a training center for officers and members to learn about basic business models. I'm equipped, having worked in a law firm, I train board members, blah, 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 blah. It just seems like a completely different person from the first person. So I guess what they shouldn't have focused on here, they shouldn't have focused on this law clinic at all. They should have focused on what matters, what is relevant to what they intend to do in the future, which is the Fixed Company Initiative, right? And I also feel like this just seems like a highfalutin dream, because it just, I plan to, why don't you talk about what you have done first, and then now say, to leverage on this experience, my goal is to now create this thing. But even me personally, I wouldn't even say you want to create something. I would prefer that you even show that thing that you want to create, there's already some seed of it in existence already, not just, oh, I want to. Okay, Crystal, why did you take the next paragraph?
Okay, before I even go, Sarah made a point which is very key, that maybe the person wanted to add everything they've done. This is the last thing you want to do. You need to build as we talked about the brand in the very beginning of this session, is the fact that if you're going for a master's in international law or a master's in finance, you don't want to be talking about when you were doing something totally unrelated to it, unless you can find a way to tie it back to why you want to do this program. Yes. So it's fine if you've done so many other different things, but if they're not really relevant, or if they don't correlate to what you want to do now, and I don't think you should put it into that application.
Yes.
So sometimes it may not be to your best advantage to put everything you've potentially done.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Yeah, in fact, I personally, I'm sure Crystal is the same. I have different resumes for different purposes.
Plenty.
Yeah, when you want to be an academic, I have that resume. When I want to be the founder of Getting, I have that resume. When I want to be a legal practitioner, I have that resume. So you cannot imagine that you're going to tell all your life story in your essay, 500 words. It's not possible. You want to tell the most impactful ones. So which means omitting something, which is why I was saying that I might not have talked about both the drama and the football match, because you can't go into both. Just talking about one in detail might have been a better option.
Okay. A master's in international financial law from Nottingham Trent University will assist me in gaining specialized knowledge on the key elements in business transactions, so that I will be furnished with the requisite information required to provide specialized legal support to companies. As one of the top universities in the United Kingdom, Nottingham Trent LLM program easily stands out. I find it distinctive because my interests in project financing are uniquely blended into the courses offered. I am excited to learn about international banking regulation and commercial transactions, among others. I am glad to learn from Alexandra Castrionu, who specializes in business structures and cross-border insolvency. Excites me.
Yeah, there's a problem with that.
I know this will be beneficial for my overall academic and personal development. I look forward to attending the international summer school, where I would have the experience of law in the European perspective, which I believe is a rare opportunity for an international student like me. Also, Nottingham Trent University is known for its excellent student experience, and it is open to members of all communities and cultural diversity, which I would love to be a part of. I feel like here, there's so many things you could have used to your advantage. The diversity angle which you played, you could have played it a bit better, right? But also before that, right? It's good that you mentioned someone, which shows that you've done
Yes,
some research on the
absolutely.
school. I sort of like that a lot. It shows that you're not just making a very generic application, right? So that's a good. Maybe you probably even sent a cold email to the person, which would be like an extra step, in your favor. So I sort of like that angle.
Yes.
Other than the grammatical issues here, I would say the other thing is how you structure this paragraph. I'm imagining here that you're trying to answer the question here about why Nottingham Trent itself. And I would think that you also want to sort of like leverage a lot on what you're bringing, how your experiences are very different from like the regular experience, maybe because of your previous background or where you're coming from or something. Again, play that diversity angle in a really, play it in a way that I sort of feel like adds to your advantage, basically saying that you're bringing in a very unique experience based on your previous experiences or, from what you've done in the past.
Absolutely. And I think, there's a question here, Tulu, and I'm glad you mentioned this. Okay, so you people said they shouldn't start like this. Then how should they start? Now, again, in the bootcamp, we even teach you the different strategies of starting your essays that, cannot be ignored. Sarah, the school will tell you, what the length of your essay should be. So here, what I would do, the benefits of studying at NTU, nobody's saying you have to be writing like J.K. Rowling at every point in time, no. But I think what you need to do is to be very clear on why that program, right? And why that school. I think they did a good job in the second half of trying to explain why the school. So I would say that, I intend to study international financial law at Nottingham Trent because this builds on, and I will talk about what I've done again and give evidence, right? This builds on my previous experience of, advising corporates, large multinationals in Africa on how to do this and do that, brag a little bit, right? By studying international financial law at Nottingham Trent, I'm further honing my skills in corporate law, securities law, blah, 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 which will then put me in a good position to, formally launch my legal awareness initiative called the Fixed Company Initiative. I have used, which does X, Y, and Z. I've still used this same information, right? But I've still used this same information, but I have restructured it, right? And making it very clear that you're answering the question, what's the benefit of you studying at NTU? So let's move to another personal statement. Now, this personal statement, so that first personal statement, the challenges were lack of contextualization, polarized information. No, the one document strategy was not in existence, or like the 10 document strategy. Now we have another personal statement that has a different problem entirely, which is the problem of being too technical. Excuse me, except they've asked you for a technical document, your personal statement has to strike a balance between being personal and being somewhat technical. Somewhat technical, meaning that you're just showing that you understand your subject matter, you understand the area or whatever, but it is more personal in that it is about you. It's not that you know the literature, it's about you. How does you knowing the literature translate into you making an impact? It's not about only the chickens, as you're going to see in this essay. Now, can eggs be within the reach of an average household in the face of climate change? I actually quite like this sentence. It's almost there, and I understand what the person is trying to do. This is one of the strategies that we teach in our boot camp. You need to be able to almost like shock people into wanting to continue reading your, like, they'll be like, what's happening here? You think about it, when the admissions committee, they're reading essays, they're reading thousands and thousands of pages of boring essays. Your job is to give them a reason to smile.
Yeah.
The reason why we don't give revamped personal statements is because of people that like templates. Next thing you see that 10 people have edited it and submitted it. We don't do it. What you need to do is to listen and pay attention and take the learnings and apply it. If you go into the boot camp, if you join our boot camp, we have examples of some, good and bad examples, but you cannot even copy and paste it. It's deliberate. I know it's on purpose, because I don't want anybody to copy and paste the same essays everywhere. No, you need to take the lessons and apply it. I read an essay by one of our bootcamp alumni. When I read it, I could almost cry because I was so happy. Like, I was seeing exactly what they were doing. I say, yes, this is contextualization. Yes, this is association. Yes, this is recognition. Yes, this is demonstration. Yes, I could see everything, playing out because they apply the lessons. You can do it. You can totally do it. So can eggs be within the reach of an average household in the face of climate change? I get it, but it did not hit the mark because it's a little bit confusing. Can eggs be within the reach of an average household in the face of climate change? So it's okay. You can confuse me with your first sentence, but your second sentence is meant to give me clarity. And that's where this person kind of almost missed it. So you're talking about eggs, and then all of a sudden, I couldn't really, I mean, maybe because I'm not a subject matter expert, but your essay should be readable by non-subject matter experts too. But I couldn't see that continuity from eggs, going through this paragraph. An internship with one of the largest private firms, I would have said, not just a private firm, I would have said private firms producing eggs or chicken. You get what I'm trying to say? I would have said that so that we can continue the thread. Exposed me to the ignored economic loss associated with rapid temperature increase due to global warming. How so? It hasn't been well connected. So are you saying that global warming is affecting the output of chickens? So what exactly is the issue? You can say an internship with one of the largest private firms in southern Nigeria exposed me to how, poultry farming in sub-Saharan Africa is being threatened due to global issues, such that there is a shortage of eggs, blah, 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 blah. Again, I wouldn't use this introduction, but I'm just trying to even work with what we have. So I get the point. They're trying to shock you into reading further, which is great, but then it didn't, the next sentence did not provide the clarity. Instead, it provided a little bit of what? Confusion. So I saw a gap between Nigeria's. So I've given you a strategy, or you can put a fact. And this is when I should stop talking. Before I teach everything in the boot camp and you don't join the boot camp, you have to join so that you would understand all the strategies back to back. It's one of our strategies. If I write an essay, I keep saying it, pardon me for bragging, but I'm really not sorry. I keep saying it that if I submit an application for something, if I don't get it, it's just because maybe God just said it's not, this one is not your own. But it is not because of my essay. Because you will surely read it. You will surely read the next sentence. The thing will sweet you. And that's the secret ingredient. The person must feel like they've been able to connect with someone by reading just like your essay. All right? So, Chris, I do want to add something to this.
Yeah, so you've sort of talked about most of the key issues around. I'm always a big fan of starting, a statement with something that catches. And like I think I talked about in the first sentence that this person has done lots of things, but they need to have something that catches the audience so that they're like, I want to continue reading this.
Yeah.
But I feel like it's also a tricky issue because in the bid of trying to be catchy, you can end up, in a flop where it doesn't hit the mark, right? Yes. So it's always good to start with, something that is very eye-catchy, or, so something that is, just sort of like, it's sort of like will just catch the audience, and mean they open, you're like, what does this mean? I want to know more. Yeah. And sometimes these essays, they have like, I understand the struggle of words count, because sometimes there's like a limit to the amount of words you can write, maybe like 700, 500 or whatever. Mine was 500, so it was really, really hard to put everything into 500 words. So I get that. So, but I feel like if you can do it, fine. But if you can't, you can also make your essay make sense in a way whereby it's different to you. And again, that goes back to having a story beforehand. Like I mentioned again, that having that journal really helped me, because when I was ready to write my essay, I had an idea of the person who I was and who I wanted them to see. So for me, having an idea of, okay, this is what I'm selling to you, like this is me. This is how I want you to see me, sort of helped. And, I was able to structure my essay in a way, but if you pick it up, you'll be like, okay, this person has done this work in finance and she wants to do this. So I feel like with this essay, I'm not even quite sure what you want to do.
Yeah.
right? And for me, I feel like maybe it's because it's technical, as Miriam said, but I'm just really struggling to get what it is that you want to do, you know. And for me, I feel like that's like, you don't want your essay to be too technical. You have your CV for that, and maybe even your recommendation, they can say, okay, she did this practical and, you know, blah. But your essay, you want it to be as straightforward as possible,
And they
you
want
know,
to
and
see your
sell yourself.
heart. Yeah.
Yeah.
They want to see your heart. I mean, it's not at the same time, it's not like you're going to be saying sub stories. It's a balance. Some people don't believe in this strategy, but me, I know $4 million plus in scholarships. I mean, whatever I'm telling you guys must be working, because
I don't even believe in sub stories. So I'm sorry, I don't believe in sub stories.
It's not a
Don't
sub
come and say why you need, everybody needs money. Don't come and say you need money.
Exactly.
I don't believe in sub stories. Just let people understand why you think that you're a good investment, because ultimately it's an investment.
Exactly. So it's not your personal statement is not a sub story. It's also not a technical piece. It's a fine in between, where you're showing yourself, you're showing your heart, you're showing who you are, and you're showing what you can do. So this person, I personally would never, again, this is what we teach. You don't put references in your personal statements. There's no need. You understand? Don't Al Jazeera 2019. No need.
You're
Right?
wasting space. So for 570 words, you're using it to reference.
Really, yeah. I saw a gap between Nigeria's poultry industry and research distribution as a problem that's costing farmers a mortality rate of 15% per annum. It's good that you put this figure, though. I like that. But it's because it's evidence of what the problem is. But you don't have to put in references. I've inculcated a sense of responsibility that I believe contributed to my academic progression as an undergraduate student. I was just confused. Where did this sentence coming from? For what? Are we not talking about poultry? What sense of responsibility? I don't get it. This drives me towards acquiring optimal scientific knowledge through a master's in animal breeding and genetics in breeding for productivity and thermotolerance in laying birds. What drew my attention to EMABG, I guess that's the name of the school on the program, is its uniqueness in offering specialization within the domain of animal breeding and genetics. I don't know who this person is. I know what you're interested in, but I don't know who you are. Okay, Crystal.
Okay, before we even go forward, I think someone asked, what if it tags as plagiarism? I mean, you're not saying, I feel like there's way you can say according to research, you know, market research or whatever, there's a way to go about it without, I mean, you're giving hard numbers. The idea is that you can say, you know, research has shown that this is the numbers. You don't need to reference and it won't be tagged as plagiarism.
Yeah.
Okay. The next paragraph says
the entire thing as well. Don't quote the entire thing, otherwise then you have to.
Yeah, exactly. So you want to rephrase and say, you know, research has shown that, you know, this amount of people or this percentage of or whatever, and that sort of passes the message across. By the nature of the challenge that inspired my application, a thorough understanding of quantitative genetics, precision animal breeding, and breeding program design will be of high value. The knowledge of qualitative genetics is important as both productivity and thermotolerance are quantitative traits. With limitations confronting the animal industry ranging from climate change, limited resources, to the need to maintain genetic variation, the need for precision in animal breeding is crucial as it facilitates accuracy in estimation of breeding value and achieving holistic breeding goals without compromising the need for genetic variation. Effective evaluation and designing of breeding programs is important because without it, the benefit of animal improvement cannot be fully utilized. Very technical. I get that. I mean, it's very.
It's not wrong.
Yeah, it's not wrong to be technical. It's not wrong to be technical, but I think that ultimately, I feel like we talked about this a bit before about your audience. I believe that your audience will probably have an idea of what you're saying, but at the same time, you also want to enhance readability, and readability means something being, you know, is concise and in terms of understanding, someone can just quickly read through and it's not too complex. Right.
Yeah.
I mean, if you need to submit written articles, you can then begin to be as technical as you want. But I feel like for your personal statements, just try to strike that balance between, particularly if you're applying to a really technical field, between that and also trying to make your essay sort of like readable, and in terms of structure, make sense. And as at the same time, I think the last point I want to make is easy for your reader to go through and not want to take a short coffee break.
Absolutely. And because I think the main problem that keeps going through this document is the technicality. I'm not going to go through those paragraphs. This is actually the only place where this candidate talks about themselves. Instead, they talk about the issue. And that's a problem. It's not just about the issue, it's about you within the issue. So in your essay, don't just talk about how, cancer is affecting, communities in Nigeria. That's not the question. It's about what you are doing about that. It's about the experience you've gathered in the past that will help you be the person to bring a solution to that problem. Do you understand what I'm saying? So this person has just spoken about the issue, spoken about the technical things, but hasn't said, look, I'm able to now tackle these issues because I have this background, or I have this background, and so therefore I'm able to tackle these issues. So during my undergraduate program, I took courses such as Introduction to Animal Breeding and Genetics, blah, 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 blah. So here's what I would do if I were writing this essay so that we can give you an alternative. I would start with a very personal story. Again, this is not the best because I'm just thinking of this off the top of my head. But, something like when I was younger, if anyone asked me what my favorite food would be, I would say eggs. And then the person that is reading it might just smile. And I would go as far as saying scrambled eggs, poached eggs, omelets, any eggs. That's my favorite food. Therefore, when I decided to study, to what's it called? Pursue a degree in agricultural whatever, it was only natural that my focus would be on birds. You understand? You are selling yourself, your story. They'll be like, oh, when it's time to select, you say, oh, who is that candidate that likes eggs? Let's give them the scholarship. That likes scrambled eggs. Let's give them the scholarship. That's it, though. It's not about the technicality. So that's how I will start this essay. It is fun. It's interesting. It gives a bit of background to you. You will now go into your skills. And if I did just from my head, though, I didn't even think about it much,
And you know what she has also done? She's done two things, right? She's giving you an introduction of what she's going to talk about, and she's also made it personal to her. So it's her own experience. Like, I'm not telling you that, oh, because I worked in this farm, and that's why I know. I'm telling you that, okay, for my own, I've made it personal to me. Yeah. And I feel like, that sort of just captures the reader's attention that I really want to know more about. I feel like I know, it feels like you and the person are sitting next to each other because
you're having a plate of eggs together.
Exactly. Right? They feel like they know you, know. So there's that personal element to it.
Those are the scholarships that win money. I'm just telling y'all, those are the kinds of essays. And then you now go and say, when I studied so and so and focused on birds. Therefore, imagine my surprise when I realized that climate change, the effect of climate change was, reducing the viability of so and so eggs. Imagine, and I would say something else that's a little bit funny, like imagine a future without eggs. That's a bit too hard to imagine. And then I now go on to say, as a result of that, I do not say what you did. I studied this. I did this project. I did that project. Give them bam, 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 bam. You now say you are the one that are going to basically save all the eggs for the entire world. In summary. But you get what I'm trying to say? That's how your essay should be. It's one story. You will still talk about the technical things. You talk about the things that you did here. So look at here. The person says, I took courses such as animal breeding and genetics, animal breeding techniques, animal production techniques. I got A's. I graduated as the best student. I was the third. I got 94. I did this. I did that in order to just save the eggs. You understand what I'm saying? So it now makes sense. All these other things just don't. You can show your technical ability without having to go into that much detail. You get what I'm saying? So you're trying to show what it's a personal statement, your personality, you are selling yourself, you are the market. This market is too serious and too boring for me to buy.
Someone said bam bam eggs. I love it.
maybe we should open an egg shop. So I'm not going to go into, let's not spend too much time on this because we still have other essays and CVs. Sorry, time is flying. So I also like what this person did here. Said it will be an investment for attaining sustainable goal 1 and 2. by over 70% of the Nigerian population. No need for the reference, but that's nice. You're connecting what you're doing to a broader issue, to a broader thing, to something even bigger than you. Mwah, brilliant, right?
Very key, very key. Trying to show that you want to do something for people other than yourself is very key.
Absolutely. So now this third essay, why doesn't Crystal start? And we'll see what's wrong with this one too.
Okay.
If it's making sense and you've not invited someone, you're on your bed, God is watching you. Okay, let's carry on.
My decision to get a master's degree was born out of a need to answer the question, why am I the way I am? I like this. This has been my driving force, the need to know. I set out to seek answers on my own because discussing issues of mental health is largely considered a taboo in most Nigerian households, including mine. It was during this, I already know I'm going to like this essay. I don't know how the rest of the essay will flow, but I feel like this student has let me know that I'm going to like the essay. It was during this period I began to recognize my affinity for the study of mental health. For me and many other Nigerian teenagers, choosing a career path focused on mental health was out of the question, partly because our society values more established career paths.
Who is our?
But mostly because, as stated earlier, issues of mental health are still considered taboo. Left to my family and society, I therefore essentially had 4 main career choices: medicine, law, engineering, or finance. However, I chose to pursue a field of study more in line with my interests and curiosity, a bachelor's degree in guidance and counseling. During this program, I developed a more specific interest in the study of childhood mental health. Miriam, maybe because I'm biased, mental health issues, I find very limited issues with this first paragraph that I've read. I feel like the only thing that needs to be a bit more clear here is, society values you mean, like the hour that, but other than that, I kind of feel like I know what this person wants to do, and this is just of the first paragraph. Like I know what they care about, and I can. It kind of feels like this comes from a very deep-rooted or personal experiences around me. I can feel that there's some of passion here, and for me, if I'm reading this, I want to read more. I want to know more. That's for me. That's like my verdict for this first paragraph.
I agree with you, but I think this person could have done a little bit more. I see they're using that same technique of trying to get that curiosity technique, trying to get you to understand, to be interested. But I feel like the person wanted to share, but stopped shy of sharing as much as they needed to.
Yeah, exactly.
There's a little bit more information that would have been the spice in this essay.
You can tell that there's something
missing. They were hiding it, and that's the problem with this essay. So why am I the way I am? That question can be interpreted too broadly. So here's how I would start this. My decision to get a master's degree was born out of a need to answer a question, why am I the way I am?
Or an identity question,
we can even say that. We can even leave it at that because it's a little bit intriguing. But then if you do this technique, your next sentence must make me be at peace. I must understand what you meant from your very next sentence. So why am I the way I am? You will now explain that this question intrigued me because I had always been described by my family and my friends as a curious and weird child because I was whether quiet or you maybe arranged things in a particular way, or I was on the autism spectrum. That is how to start this essay. So you said, why am I the way I am? Right? But you left it open. You get what I'm trying to say? Because this person in the second paragraph, I know there's something missing because this says, I'm in the second year of my university. Obviously, don't start a paragraph with and. Listen to the lecturer describe and explain symptoms I've struggled with childhood. I truly knew I was on the right career path. You needed to have told us what that thing was. You needed to have told us. This essay has the potential to be great, but you stopped just shy because you were scared of sharing.
It's a very valid fear because personal statements typically are when it's almost like you're vulnerable. You're telling someone you've never seen before. Sometimes your innermost fears and again, like I feel like maybe what you could have done, maybe tell a small story or something that happened that made that question pop in your head. Why am I the way? I mean, it might be like, okay, something happened, or maybe like at this point in my life, this happened, and it just made me begin to have like an really think about my identity. That's sort of, so I feel like it can be scary, but it can be the benefits can be a lot.
Absolutely.
So don't be scared to be vulnerable, because this is the time you want to get vulnerable, and think and really be critical.
Yeah, absolutely. I just think that was the little thing that was missing. Like, okay, what am I doing? And my question is, why do you have this question? But I couldn't see that answer. Next thing you start talking about how, you in your society, you cannot study mental health, but you've not given us a reason why you needed to challenge society norms. You've not told us that motivation that made you say, you know what, I don't care if you want me to be a doctor or a lawyer, I'm going to study guidance and counseling. I can't find that motivation. You've hidden it. So you need to learn to be vulnerable. When I write my essays, if it has anything to do with law, I'm always very proud to talk about my mother, because my mother is a lawyer. And the way I introduce my essays, I always talk about how my mother would dress to the office and she would wear, you people may think I'm not serious, but go and check how much scholarships I've gotten and see whether my strategy works or it doesn't work. I talk about how, growing up, the vision I always saw was of my mother wearing her black and white suit and her patent heels, going to the office. And I never really understood it, but I loved it, And so therefore, this was like my role model. I break it down, especially when it has to do with like any kind of essay that has to do with that. Maybe it's being funded by a women organization. I talk about my mother.
Yeah, and it mustn't be personal. You may not have a lawyer mother like Miriam. It can just be, I read an essay once, and this person was inspired by watching Gani online, and he did get into Oxford as well. So sometimes your inspiration may not come from someone it may be from a role model, like, oh, this person's career inspired me, and because of that inspiration, this is why I'm doing what I'm doing, or whatever. So it mustn't be an actual personal experience, really.
Absolutely. So we're just going to skim through this one, and I want to mention a few things. So this person says, this program offered me the opportunity to hone my skills in child and adolescent mental health. My master's thesis titled Perceptions and Uptake of School Counseling and Effects on the Mental Health of Students. That quote needs to close. As I saw that I didn't close, I was sad. These are some errors we can't be making at this stage. If you start the quotation mark, you need to end the quotation mark at the end of the thing. But you will not even necessarily have to say the title of your thesis. You might just explain what it did, especially if you're pressed for space. You can say my master's thesis did X, Y, and Z. I loved this. I really liked this. They explained their findings, and then they now said that my thesis was submitted to the journal of this and is currently awaiting publication. But I don't know why there's no full stop there. But that is brilliant. You're showing that and this person applying for a PhD, you're showing that you can write, you're showing that you can publish. I thought that was lovely. Since completing my master's program, I've worked in various capacities as a mental health professional. I work as a school counselor. I've seen the development of strong interpersonal competencies, blah, 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 blah. Honestly, it's actually a pretty good essay.
Yeah. And I think just one comment I wanted to make is, if you compare this to the first one we read, you can see that there's one story with this person. This person has, all they've done is around mental health or guidance and counseling. They might have done other things, but for the purpose of this application, this is exactly what they're focusing on. Now, contrast this to the first essay where the person had done some legal aid work and then they went to do business startup. So you just need to tell a really coherent story with your application. It doesn't mean, if it means curtailing what you want to highlight, that's fine, but just make sure that your story is coherent. So they can say, oh, that person is doing this or that, not that person. It just doesn't stick if you're showing too many skills or too many things you've done that don't correlate. You can show something, but they should have a correlation. They should be able to flow together.
Absolutely. So we're just going to run through, and I just highlighted some places here. Look at this person. It says, in my current and past roles, I have proven myself as organized, dependable, and able to effectively multitask to meet deadlines. I would even add and say, which are skills that would serve me well in a PhD program. Make it obvious to them. So they said, I've received the WHO, this is fantastic, mental health gap action program training, taking courses in child and and I am a counselor at Hands Off, a non-governmental organization established to address the systemic problem of rape, sexual abuse, harassment, and assault. Even though I've never heard of Hands Off, I know what they do. This person has given me the context of hands off. Now, it's possible that if this person got rejected, look, don't feel bad. Because sometimes, especially for PhD, you are rejected not because of your essay, but just because of supervisor availability. This is not a bad essay. You understand what I'm saying? So don't feel bad if you were rejected. And that's something I should have said at the beginning. Sometimes rejections just happen. Even me, I'm a rejectee. People have rejected me. I've received rejection from schools. So anybody who says they have 100% acceptance rate is lying. Okay. So I also like where they said, my personal background and my previous academic and professional experience has shown have or has which
yeah,
one?
it's the grammatical issues around it, otherwise, yeah.
That I possess the tenacity and grit needed to succeed and thrive in this program. Brilliant. You are literally selling your skills directly.
And it shows that you understand how tasking a PhD program can be.
Exactly. So this is not a bad essay. I hope you guys can see the difference between the first two essays and this third essay. But this person just went a little bit shy of, giving us the true vulnerability. Okay. So again, the essays are the difficult part. So let's go into the resume. Honestly, I don't even know about these resumes. Like, we can't be doing this. Crystal, you go ahead.
Why am I seeing a photo here, guys? That's
my
first comment. Guys, come on now.
It depends. In some European countries, they don't mind photos, but most times there's no photos.
Most times, some would ask you not to put a photo behind it, because of the idea of any bias of any kind. But do you mind going to start from the top? Is this the top?
Yes, this is the top.
Yeah. Okay, so work experience. I don't think it's the top. Okay, this is the top. Where's the person's name on?
No, we just
okay. Nationality, date of birth, gender, work experience. Okay. Date of birth. I tend to get mixed views around date of birth. I personally wouldn't put it, but some people do. I don't know if Miriam, you have a view of your preference, but personally for me, I wouldn't put my date of birth on my CV, but that's, again, if you feel more comfortable with that, that's fine. Work experience.
I wouldn't put it either.
Yeah, sometimes it can be a bias too against you. So I just don't feel, it should be there, to be honest.
Yeah.
Animal farm, city, Enugu. So for me, what I feel like, just before we even get into it, is that with the work experience, again, it goes back to the issue of context. You want to be able to explain to the person looking at it when they see it, that they understand what it is where it is you work and what it is you do there, right? And this person said that actively take part in the development of innovative solutions to various farm challenges. What kind of challenges? I don't work in a farm, so I don't know what the challenges should be in a farm. So if this person can give a bit more context of what they do, it's always very key that when you put work experiences, you sort of like explain, put some skills that you use that are really much in use for you in that role, right? And then maybe animal farm, if it's again, I don't know if it's a poultry farm, or just sometimes context is very important. Try to explain as much as possible so that if I'm looking at it, I know what it is that you've done, right? Miriam, can you please go forward a bit? Somebody made a point about gender. I agree with you, actually. Gender, date of birth, they're not needed.
No.
You just need your CV should just have your name, your contact information as the start header. And then if you want a professional summary, that's fine, but do not put things like date of birth or your gender. It's not needed at all. Animal science, active. So okay, your experience has ended here. I would say for starters that if you're applying for, I don't know how the PhD works, Miriam, but ideally education should come first. But I feel like maybe there's some reason why she's putting the work experience first. Is that how it should be?
Education first.
Actually, education should come first. So from what I'm used to, education should come first, particularly if you're applying for something academic in nature. You want to show your education first, right? And your education, you've not, okay. Equity State University. And so for me, right, how I typically approach education, right, is I put the university, and then I sort of, if ranking is important to you, you can put ranking, right? And then also put your activities. I don't see that here. You can't, I'm sure you did things while you were in that school for 6 years. If you were class rep, if you were president of a drama club, or whatever. Some schools are very key on co-curricular, extracurricular.
Mm-hmm.
Some schools don't want to see just your academics. They want to also see that you can fit into an international environment or a diverse environment, you know, and that you're someone that, you know, has those social skills, for lack of a better way to put it. So I would say here that if you do have some co-curriculars or stuff that you did while you were in Ekiti State University, you can add that here as well. I think it will help. Maybe put like activities column or whatever, and then put all those there. I think that will help.
What is hurtful to me? Sorry, go ahead, please.
Okay. And then your final grade is, so I feel like it should even be part of Ekiti State University, and then your grade and then your activities. I could have easily passed where you just put your final grade, right? So I feel like if you want to maybe move that around, and then again, of course, education shouldn't be down here. I feel like the only time you should put education really down is maybe you've had like 2 decades of work experience, and maybe you feel like that trumps whatever education that you've had because you were so far away. But if that's not the case, and clearly that's not the case for you, after your header, what I should be seeing is your education, right? And then brag. Okay, you've made a first class degree with a 4.71 GPA. Please brag about it. After I say, I want to see that, okay, I graduated, and then you begin to tell me what you also did. So for me, I feel like those are the 2 things that you can do here, right? Put your this thing very bold, be proud of it. It's a really good grade, right? And then also let us know what activities you did, co-curriculars you did. It may not be relevant, but some schools are very keen on that. Like they get lots of first class application. They also want to see that you have people's skills, because these days the world is moving away from they want a very diverse community of people that are social, you know. So it will also be good if you can put that. I don't know if you have any other additional comments, Miriam.
Yeah, I just feel so bad about this resume because this person is a first class graduate, but I wouldn't give them an opportunity because they haven't sold themselves well, right? You need to take your time to craft a resume that not only, you're selling a couple of things. You are selling the experience that you have. You are selling the place where you had the experience, right? You are selling the universities that you've gone to, and you are selling the experiences that you gathered there. Now, what do I mean by you are selling the experience you have and the place? So if you worked in animal farm, you need to let us know that animal farm is not just a farm of 4 chickens and 2 goats in Ado Ekiti. They need to understand that animal farm is a mechanized 10,000 acre mechanized XYZ type of farm. You understand? With 2 million birds and 10 billion livestock or whatever. It's very important, because how will I be able to know what your experience is if I don't even understand the kind of place that you have worked? For lawyers, that's why when we write our law firms, we say, oh, the law firm has been ranked, IFLR, so ranking, you know, this ranking by Chambers and Partners. It's the same thing. We're trying to let you know that I'm not just in any law firm, I'm in a better place. You know what I'm trying to say? So that is something you need to take anywhere you've worked, even if you don't think the place is all that, package it. If you are a server, don't say that you're a server. I present sophisticated items for the deliberate consumption of, you know, key executives. That is server, right? You're serving food to key executives. So you cannot just say I'm a server somewhere. You need to package it properly and say it in a way that, you know, is impressive. Also, the experience here is I actively took part in selection of breeding of swine, broiler birds, and catfish. What exactly does that actively took part mean? You carried the buckets when they were selecting, or you injected a needle in the catfish. I don't know what you did. You understand? So you need to be very detailed about your experience. And if this is the person that was talking about, you know, eggs and chicken and whatever, you need to be able to say, you know, what you did and the result that you generated. All right. So please, can you say that it's not by first class? First class does not necessarily mean that you'll be able to translate, you know, the experience well. So join our bootcamp so that you will not be underselling yourself. This person even has a publication. So the latter half of the resume looks a bit better. Maybe they're not just confident in their experience, you know, but I think you really should be. This is a star student. This is a superstar that should be getting multiple opportunities. Go ahead.
I was going to say that another thing that the CV really does is to signal that you're of a certain quality to grad schools, right? The idea is that, okay, you've made good grades. If you also worked in somewhere that is highly regarded in your field, you want to highlight it. If they're not in that field in that country, they may not know that maybe Animal Farm, for all we know, might be the biggest animal farm in Nigeria, or maybe among the top 3 biggest, but we don't know that because you're not giving us context. And if you give that content, they can see that this person is good enough to have made a first class, worked in one of the top cities in their field, in their country. That signals their quality, that they will be really high quality. And these are the kind of people that we want in our program, right? So the idea behind you is not like, the idea behind all that is not just to brag, but also to give context that, okay, the fact that you've done all this shows that you're of a certain quality.
Absolutely. Absolutely. So let's move into the second resume, and then we'll do the third one, and we'll call it a day until tomorrow. Okay. Are you guys going to be here tomorrow? We have another set of documents to review. Are you going to be here tomorrow? Let me know. So, so again, all these gender things, we're not doing that anymore. But if you're going to be here tomorrow, you invite people. I don't know. You guys, I'm not feeling you. So, about me, a curious mind, passionate about transforming livelihoods through academia, as such open to exploring knowledge and experiences that highlights the economic, social, and environmental impact of urban planning. I don't even know anything about
Guys,
this.
all I want to say is this is not your Twitter bio. This is not your Twitter bio. So it's not, you're trying here to be an academic professional. And it could be, let me read the person. You need to, I get the curious mind bit if it ties down to what it is that you've done in the past, but please try as much as possible to show us. You can say whatever has written articles or has negotiated this or that, not open to exploring knowledge and experience. This is not, leave this for your social media. Try here to be bringing it. You can say, okay, you've worked on this sector, or you've written articles on this in academic articles, or articles that that I don't know, but the point is that you can't be saying things like you're open to exploring knowledge and experiences in your CV.
Yeah,
right?
begging.
This is a professional summary. This is not the place for this.
You're begging. You're saying, I'm trying my best. When you should be saying, I am the ish. If you ever have a profile in your CV, or if you have a summary, what should happen when someone reads it is to say, wow. If someone reads that profile and they don't say, wow, go and look at your profile in your resume, please delete it, because it's going to be doing you a disservice. If you see my profile, even me, I'm afraid of it. It's that good. Like, I'm like,
You need to brag, oh.
You need to brag. If you're putting that profile, so what do you need to put in there? You need to put in just some keywords. And again, when we started, we said, what's your why? So let's assume it is the person who is doing mental health, right? You will say the profile should be something like, a mental health professional with over 15 years experience in adolescent mental health in developing countries, or in sub-Saharan Africa, or in whatever, proven record of developing integrated curriculum for whatever, particular program, and maybe impacting XYZ number of people, something like that.
Yeah, I was even going to say you can put in numbers and say maybe has impacted several, maybe 300 whatever, 2 point something. Just put some numbers to back up what you're saying.
Yes.
If, for instance, I was a lawyer and I was going to say, oh, I'm a finance lawyer, I've negotiated over $6.1 billion US in transactions and projects, infrastructure, energy. You just want to just show that, okay, this is this is your professional summary, for lack of a better way.
Yeah, absolutely. And we're going to the same issues with the here, assistant supervisor in, even if you're a young graduate. When I was a young graduate, I said what I did in school. You get what I'm trying to say? You get, so you can, but don't call yourself young graduates.
Also, I was going to say also, if you're young, I feel like professional summary is not always important. You don't always have to have it. If you feel like you can just go straight to education and then begin to show us what you've done in school, your grades, you don't have to have a professional summary. You can also, there's how you structure your CV that it will just be fire, even without it. Personally, if you're like a young graduate, maybe you're just in law school and you feel like, okay, you haven't really done much in terms of like a professional setting. right?
Mm-hmm.
You can still structure your CV in a way whereby anybody that picks it and feeling that this person has done a lot, or this person is like
Yeah.
they know what they want to do, and I
Mm-hmm.
mean they've done a lot.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think that's really, 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 really great advice. So here, again, you're just saying things like you're just filling in the space. With your resume, every line must serve a purpose. Like as they're reading, they should be like, this is nice, this is good. That's exactly what I need to make case. That's exactly what they need to be reading. Assistant supervisor in conducting research on papers and policies. What kinds of papers? If you are talking about urban planning, you should be saying in papers published in the International Journal of Urban Planning, whatever. You've told them that, oh, wow, this person is of an international standard. So I'm not going to go into all of these details. This is a pismal. How do they say that thing? It's not strong enough to sell anything. You are not being sold. If you, in fact, let's even do an experiment here. Let me see if you guys are paying attention. What is the one word, or what is the one thing that you've picked from this session that you must definitely implement? I want to see what you guys are picking. What is that one word, or what's that one thing that you've picked today that when you're writing your essays, this is something I'm definitely going to implement? Put it in the comments. I'm watching. Great. I'm going to come back to that. So same thing. I'm not saying numbers to contextualize. Thank you. I'm not saying numbers to let me know the value of the work you've done. You've not explained what Adansi Rural Bank is. Is it a big bank? Is it a 2-person bank? I don't know. Same thing, you're putting your education at the bottom as well, and you're just mentioning it. You're not saying what you did while you were there. That's not okay. Okay. So this is the final resume we're going to be looking at, and I'm going to go back to the comments. In fact, I don't even know where to start. Krista, maybe you can help us.
Can we go to the beginning, please? I can't.
Yes, to the beginning. Babe La Hot.
Experience UCS Global Resources, Abuja. I feel like we've talked about this a lot. We don't. Yes. I don't know. If I'm in University of Toronto, for instance, I'm looking at it. I don't know what UCS Global Resources means. I don't know if it's a good place to work, if it's a very bad place to work. I don't know. So yeah, you're not giving me enough information to go with when you say UCS Global Resources, HIV clinician, and these are your responsibilities. Trust Charities Hospital, Abuja. Again, I feel like people don't always realize that when you're writing an academic CV, it shouldn't be like you were writing a CV for a job. Maybe you're applying for, like, there's a difference in structure and in formatting of an education, like an application for like a school CV. If you're applying to school, what is key, as we've just mentioned, is the fact that you've got your story on lockdown. Your education is, I know you sort of highlight to us what you did while you were in school, the grades you made. If you worked somewhere, we want to see that it was mostly, if it was a good place to work, you want to brag about it. I don't see that in this CV. When I look at this CV, and then for some reason you took your attributes and took it all the way down here, and I'm wondering why I'm saying I am an innovative team person. It just, the CV in terms of structure is not the best structure. If you want to talk about, this shouldn't tell me the heading. If I hear attributes, maybe you want to tell me about extra skills you have. Maybe you have some other extra skills that may be relevant to the role. But if the idea behind what I'm saying, if you're telling me you're innovative and team spirited, is that you want to give me a summary of yourself. So this should come after you've given me your heading of your name and information, not here. So structure-wise, I'm not really comfortable with. So with this CV structure, make sure that your structure is your. In fact, let's just give you the structure. This might be what you talk about in bootcamp, but let's just give you at least a vague structure of your CV. Have your heading, right? Have your educational summary where you really talk about the school that you went to, the grade you made, the activities or whatever. Then now have your work summary. You can have additional skills, publications or whatever, but that should be the primary structure of what your CV should look like. I shouldn't be looking at it and saying attributes for, I'm just confused. Why is the person telling me that they're innovative and team-spirited here when I'm already halfway through their CV, right? That should be at the top, and then your education should follow. And then again, we talked about you making sure that if you went to a good school or you're working in a good place, make sure that you make it clear that you are in a top program, or you're working in like one of the best places in your field or whatever. And then
Go on, please.
Yeah. And then I was gonna say sorry, I think can you go back up a bit? Your leadership roles are good, but sometimes I feel like sometimes they would ask you to either stick to 1 or 2 pages in this essay. So you also want to be sure of how again you arrange what it is you want to talk about. Sometimes there's ways that you can put all this. If, for instance, this is something that you did while you were in school, for instance, or you can put it in your education forum. If you're talking about education, something that you did, is how you can structure it. That okay, sometimes people will not spend that much time looking through your CV. So you want to make sure that you make the information easily accessible to them. So when they look at it, they have a full picture. So if it was me, for instance, right? Mary, can you go down?
Sure.
Yeah. If it was me, for instance, right? If I worked at Dream Children's, if it is pro bono, which I'm assuming it is, for instance, I don't know, you can have like a different folder for your pro bono activities. So I would have my education where I will brag and brag and brag. I will have my work experience where I will tell you if I worked at Dream Children's says I'll be like one of the best hospitals for children within that sector or whatever, for pediatrics or whatever. And then I will now begin to explain, list out my responsibilities of what I did there, right? And then sometimes too, you can have like lawyers, we have like, I really saw some this really good TV recently where she had some IFLR rankings, and I was like, this is good, she put, so if you do have anything like that in your field, maybe you were published in a newspaper or something, you can put a link there. It's always good. It's an extra effect. If you have that, you can put it. But ultimately for me, what I find with this CV is like the structure wise is just, it's not the best in terms of structure. You don't sell yourself enough with this CV, and I don't really understand some of the places you worked. And for that, it then makes it difficult for me to gauge if you've really done really good things other than education or not. So those 3 things are what I find lacking with this CV, right? Okay, you now end with personal achievements.
It's
You
just
say you organize. Yeah. I feel like all these things you're saying, first of all, you have too many headings that can merge together, right? If you have so many headings that can merge, like if I was me, I would have merged that with my work experience. Whereby I would say, okay, because sometimes at work you do some pro bono work, for instance, or you do things that are sort of complementary, but maybe not really your field. So there's a way that you can marry them together. It will make sense. So I feel like you can do that in a way that would sort of make this CV a bit more appealing in terms of when someone picks it up. So please try to, I don't know what Dream City Children is. I don't know what UCS Medical is. It's not clear to me what these things are. If it's a good place to work, if it's not, I'm not quite sure of why I'm seeing your attributes so further down the essay, the CV, sorry, as well. It's not quite clear to me.
Absolutely. Thank you, Crystal. And this is the kind of intro that if this is what you're writing, you don't need one. Innovative, team spirit, ambitious, resilient, these are just buzzwords. Like if you're not putting concrete things that are going to make somebody say, wow, don't put it in. Okay. So just before we go, and I just want I want you guys to do me a favor while I look through the words that you've learned. I want you to actually, tell us how you feel after this session. Now that you've seen this session, how do you feel about your ability to attack your essays? How do you feel about, how confident do you feel about your ability to basically go with more informed mind? Tell us what you feel. How did you find this session? If it was horrible, say this is the worst session I've ever attended in my entire life. Crystal and Miriam, very, very bad. And if it was great, I want you to tell me that. And not only that, I want you guys to go on social media and let others know, right, what we're doing. Tomorrow is another day. Like I have benefited from so many events that have helped me to build myself personally, and professionally, and elevate my career and my life. So I want you guys to tweet about us, tag us at Getting Edu on LinkedIn, on Twitter, and on Instagram. And I'm just going to go back to the words, what you guys learned today. You said, sell yourself, great, be specific rather than vague. One document strategy, absolutely. Contextualization, brag, contextualize, coherence, brag, bam, bam, brag. One document strategy. Every sentence must count. Coherence, specificity, context. You guys are brilliant. Contextualize, brag, blow your trumpet. Temitayo says contextualize, have one story. Onyiko says I'll not be humble. One who says brag, focus says topic sentence. Abo says connecting with essays. MA says use evidence from your past. or Chuke says show impact and loud your achievement. Miracle, every word must count. Ebon, apply one topic sentence. Simon says coherence. Ara says have one story. Sarah says tell your story. Ifeanyi says you must join the boot camp. And I'm going to end on that note. So you guys were opening up again. Every year we do this, and every year we celebrate. So if you know that, I'm just going to, usually when we do these sessions, I then stop and then start again with its inside gist. So let me go through this, then we can stop the recording.
I feel like there's one question, Miriam.
Oh, really? Where is it?
Moses is asking, how do you brag about school and work? I feel like with school, it brags for itself. If you did well in school, for instance, you say, got the top of your class, or made a first class, or whatever, that speaks for itself. But with work, you can say things like, you've always had good performance reviews from your supervisors, or there's ways that you brag that is subtle brag. You're bragging, but you're also, you're making it clear that these are feedback you've gotten from either supervisors, or people that you've worked with, or team members. It might also be like, your team member that you've worked with. Maybe it can be that you've gotten feedback that you're collaborative, you're able to really and bring some form of clarity to try to work, and maybe you're hardworking or whatever it is. But the point is that if you're bragging and maybe it looks like you don't want to make like, oh, I'm hardworking, and anyone can say that. Right. But if you're able to, again, it goes to receipts. If you go to the boot camp, these are things that you really would learn how to do in a very I guess I'll say subtle manner. But really, if you've worked with people who have given you good feedback, and if you're someone that has work experience, Moses, and I'm thinking that you probably have had performance reviews in the past done, and maybe they've given you good reviews, you can mention that as well. That's a good way as well to brag about your work.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. And you guys, I also want to commend you. Again, as I said, there's always gist after the session before when we stop recording. So I just want to commend you for being here today, right? Crystal, please can we give like a round of applause? Crystal has like exams and things. She's very busy in Oxford, just living her dream, doing, leveling up and all of that. And we're so glad that she was able to take the time to join us. So thank you so much, Crystal. We really appreciate you. And you guys as well, thank you for coming, for investing in yourself, because a lot of people talk the talk, but they don't walk the walk. They want it. I want to japa. I want to do this, but to do the work, they're not ready to do it. So it means you're ready to do the work, and I'm so proud of you. You've totally got this. Now, if you want to do this with us, right? Maybe some people think we're a little bit elitist, whatever. Well, that's because we're chasing the best schools. If you want to do it with us, there's a way we do our thing. You can join our boot camp. You get access to our online course and an accountability group that pushes you to achieve your goals. We do it year in, year out, and every year the success stories are better than the last. I keep saying that we should have like an Oxford and Cambridge alumni group at this point, because it gets into, alumni are always getting into the top schools, and it makes me so glad. So with this, I'm going to end the session. The link to join the bootcamp is going to be pasted in the comments again. If you have any questions, just hit us up at Getting Edu. Just talk to us, okay? We're here for you. We want you guys to level up. And if you're not able to join the bootcamp, it's okay. Just try your best to join any other, events that we have. You won't get the same thing, but at least you will still get something.